Welcome to T-Mobile Tuesday Night Baseball. The Minnesota Twins return to Target Field tonight to face the defending World Series champion Boston Red Sox in the first of 3 games. Boston followed the Twins' worst-to-first path last fall, followed by the path of Big Papi David Ortiz, who passed Dwight Evans Saturday with 380th home run with the Red Sox. Dustin Pedroia, a first-rate second baseman, 3-time Gold Glove winner, can produce at the plate. For the Twins, Danny Santana comes home after a memorable opening week in Major League Baseball. And meanwhile, Brian Dozier continues his early season tear, helping the Twins carry on without Josh Willingham's power. On the mound tonight, a pair of hard-throwing right-handers, Jake Peavy for the Red Sox and Ricky Nolasco for the Twins. We welcome you back to Target Field. After struggling through much of the month of April, Ricky Nolasco has been motoring here in March. A complete game against Baltimore to start things off, and then a quality start against Cleveland last time out. An outing that included 9 strikeouts. Very nice numbers over his last 2 starts. Nolasco hopes to continue it tonight. Jake Peavy has followed a similar path for the Red Sox, completing 3 quality starts in his last 3 outings while limiting opposing hitters to a 185 average. No question Boston has felt right at home here at Target Field. Just 1 loss in their last 9 games in Minnesota, including a string of 6 straight wins. The road team has played the last 5 series when the Twins have faced Boston. How about the dazzling debut of Danny Santana, who manufactured some memorable moments along with some substantial firsts last week on the road? An encouraging start without question. Coming up, Dick and Bert will lock in on a pair of infielders who have been first-rate at second base again this season. It's the Twins and Red Sox from Target Field. Game 1, next.
Is presented by Menards. Save big money on all your home improvement needs at Menards. By Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some Buds. And by Jeep. Visit Jeep.com to learn more. The Twins step out of the American League Central for about a month tonight. They open up a homestand in a 3-game series with the Boston Red Sox. Brian Dozier and Dustin Pedroia among the very best in Major League Baseball at second base, and they'll be squaring off against one another here tonight. And we welcome you to Target Field, Dick and Bert.
Good to
back
be back
with you again for Twins baseball. Really going back to the Detroit series when Ian Kinsler showed again he's a really good offensive second baseman. Now in this homestand, Brian Dozier, later Robinson Cano, Dustin Pedroia in this series, some of the best second basemen in the game.
Yeah, you know what? Brian Dozier got a chance to watch Kinsler in Detroit play his position. Here in this 3-game series, he's going to get a chance to watch a 3-time Gold Glove winner, an MVP back in 2008. This guy has done it all. World Series, a couple of them. When you want to find somebody that you want to look up to, if you're a young second baseman like Dozier, you look at this guy right here. He's not afraid to get dirty. This little guy also has a lot of pop in his bat, and he's been swinging a very good bat as of late. For the Twins, it is Brian Dozier. Look where he ranks in all of baseball right now in runs, home runs, walks, stolen bases. He's doing an outstanding job, just like Pedroia, playing a great second base, and a guy who I love, not afraid to get their uniform dirty. Going to be fun to watch these two guys play in this 3-game series.
And the Twins are hopeful of having a good homestand and a good series against the Boston Red Sox. It's been hard to come by as of late. The Twins beat the Red Sox in the ballpark opening series and have not won a series against Boston here at Target Field since. Red Sox in town for the only time this year, and yeah, it was back in 2010 the Red Sox officially broke this ballpark in. The Twins took 2 out of 3 from the Red Sox in that ballpark opening series, and they've not won a series here against the Red Sox since. John Farrell in his first year with the Red Sox, tough act to follow now. He won the World Series in his first year with Boston, and the Red Sox hanging around the 500 mark, which right now in the American League East is enough to make you a contender. Here's the Menards batting order. Dustin Pedroia, Shane Victorino. David Ortiz has been awesome against the Twins and picking it up a bit here in 2014. Then Mike Napoli, Grady Sizemore, A.J. Pierzynski, Xander Bogaerts, Will Middlebrooks, and Jackie Bradley Jr.
And it'll be 31-year-old Ricky Nolasco on the mound, making his 8th start. 3 of his 7 starts so far have been quality starts, his last 2 in a row. Making his 5th career start against the Boston Red Sox, of course his first as a Twin. 2 wins, 2 losses against the Red Sox in his 4 previous starts.
Northland Ford defense for the Twins. A lot of shortstops out there. Jason Kubel's back in left field. Got 3 days off with the off day yesterday.
I didn't know he played short.
Danny Santana's a shortstop. He's out in center. Chris Parmalee in right. Plouffe used to play short. Escobar's playing short tonight. Dozier used to be a shortstop. Eduardo Nunez, a designated hitter, is a shortstop. Joe Mauer at first and Kurt Suzuki behind the plate. Joe Mauer back at first after a couple of days in the DH spot for the Twins in Detroit. So this lineup that at the start of the year had Oswaldo Arce a part of the outfield, Josh Willingham part of the outfield, starting to round back into shape. There's Pedroia, off to a good start this year. We'll see how the Twins do in this series. They've seen the Blue Jays, the Orioles, and the Rays already this year. They've won all 3 series. Have not seen in the regular season the Red Sox or the Yankees yet.
Not a lot of at-bats for the Red Sox. Again, Nolasco making his 4th career start or 5th career start against the Red Sox. Important for Nolasco to pound that strike zone, and he does on the first 2 pitches.
Getting ahead of Pedroia quickly, 0-2. Now Pedroia fairly new to the leadoff spot. Red Sox tried an assortment of different hitters in the leadoff spot. We used to see Pedroia hitting 3rd often for the Red Sox, but now hitting 1st in the batting order. Foul again, back to the screen.
Yeah, kind of a slow start for Pedroia. In March and April, he hit .270. No home runs, drove in 6 runs. But since that calendar turned in the month of May in 10 ball games, hitting .341. Scored 9 runs, a couple home runs. He's driven in 6.
2 strikes. Breaking ball, tapped foul.
There's Pedroia right there. His first 22 ball games and then now his last 14 games. Such a big part of the offense for the Boston Red Sox.
And in the dirt, 1-2. Nolasco doesn't have a win in his last 2 starts, but he has at the least given the Twins a quality start. In fact, they gave them a 9-inning complete game at a time when they absolutely had to have one. 1-2. And a check swing foul.
Boy, and that's what Pedroia does so well. He's one of these hitters. He and Ortiz have really enjoyed hitting here at Target Field. Since 2010, he's hitting .404 in 12 games here at Target Field. And these are the 2 guys you mentioned before, Dick, in 2010. They are the original offensive players that are still with the Boston Red Sox. Been a lot of changes since then, but
among position players, starters anyway, the Twins have 2 players, Bauer and Kubel, who had to come back to the Twins, and then Pedroia and Ortiz, who opened up this ballpark in 2010.
Isn't that amazing, though? You think it's only 4 years, but both clubs have gone through a lot of different new faces.
2-2 to Pedroia. And now a full count. Victorino on deck. Yeah, you'd expect the Twins to turn over their roster. They've had 3 poor years in a row, but the Red Sox won the World Series last year. Were in the playoffs 2 years before that.
97 game winners last year, the Boston Red Sox were, and then beat the Cardinals in the World Series.
Finally, a bouncer to short, backhanded by Escobar over to Mauer, and Pedroia finally is retired. Skies are clearing here. It's still fairly cool, but no precipitation. We'll take it. Tom Hallion, Eric Cooper, Chris Guccione, Sean Barber. The umpiring crew. There you see the clearing skies.
You know, we have a conference call in the morning, Dick, and I was talking about Pedroia. As a pitcher, you don't like facing guys like him. 9 pitches already. It finally get an out, but that's 9 pitches in today's game, which kind of counts for a lot of pitches thrown early in the ball game.
1-0 to Shane Victorino.
Victorino not a switch hitter anymore, just hitting as a right-handed hitter. Started last year, decided to give up the left side of the plate. Now mainly as a right-handed hitter.
1-1. And now Escobar from the hole. Boy, he's got a good arm too. We've talked about Danny Santana's arm. Escobar uncorks a non-target throw from the hole and gets Victorino by a step.
What makes that so good is the way that he sets himself up. Right there, you see all the weight on that back foot, so he can wind up like a pitcher and throw a P across a diamond. Watch him get to that ball, set himself up quickly. Not a lot of movement in that back leg, where he just used that as kind of a catapult to throw that ball across the diamond.
See, that's the thing that people probably have not thought about much in this now 2-game move of Santana out to center field. There's Ortiz fouling one back. You've got to have somebody who can do a good job playing shortstop. With Pedro Florimon down, Escobar, if the Twins use this alignment more frequently, you still need a reliable shortstop, and so far Escobar's done a really nice job.
He really has. Not only defensively, he's also contributing at the bat.
1 strike to David Ortiz. And a drive to right center field and hit a long way. Gone, a home run over the flower bed, and Ortiz continues to punish Twins pitching.
And again, like Pedroia, he has enjoyed hitting here at Target Field since 2010, a .488 hitter. And that's his 6th home run here at Target Field. And that looked not a bad pitch. It looked like he was out front, and that just shows you the strength of David Ortiz. It looked like a breaking ball. He waited back and then used that power that he can generate to hit that home run, his 8th of the year. See the breaking ball? Almost like it fooled him, but still able to get that out of the ballpark to the deepest part of the field here.
Mike Napoli, the batter, and a strike on the outside corner. Now against Nolasco, David Ortiz is 2 for 8 with 2 home runs. Breaking ball, 1-1. And another breaking ball missing, 2-1.
And that home run by Ortiz, that was his 439th home run. Career home run.
439, and over the weekend he hit his 100th against a left-handed pitcher. That just is a mind-boggling number in this era when people are platooning their bullpen lefty against lefty under the assumption that you somehow gain an advantage by putting a left-hander out there against Ortiz. He's taken them deep 100 times. 2-2, and now inside a full count. Napoli, a very patient hitter. In fact, these two teams are the most patient teams so far in 2014. Only the Twins have seen more pitches per plate appearance than the Red Sox among the 30 teams. And this will be the 21st pitch for Nolasco in the first inning. Tonight's Cold Hard Fact, brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light, graphically showing you what I just described.
Yeah. You know what, and like Napoli right there, fouled it off. How many balls did Pedroia foul off? 9 pitch at bat, finally made an out.
And a high fastball gets him. That takes care of the Red Sox. A big home run by David Ortiz puts Boston up 1-0. Hoping that the Twins, who gained a little momentum in the weekend in Detroit, can maintain it, build off of it in this Boston series, starting with this Menards batting order. Brian Dozier, then Joe Mauer, Trevor Plouffe, Jason Kubel, Kurt Suzuki, Chris Parmelee, Eduardo Nunez, Eduardo Escobar, and Danny Santana.
And Jake Peavy on the mound. Jake Peavy, he has been really, really good so far this year. 6 of his 7 starts have been quality starts. He's had very good numbers against the Twins over his career, especially here at Target Field, where he's 5-1 in 6 starts. All those starts coming when he was a member of the Chicago White Sox.
Outside to Brian Dozier.
Peavy will come right at you with a hard breaking ball, a hard slider, and a very good fastball.
Hook foul.
That has some movement. Yep.
Dozier's done a great job in the leadoff spot for the Twins, even with the .238 batting average. Chopper up the middle. Bogaerts has an easy play, and Dozier retired 1-1. Now the Red Sox out in the field, brought to you by Northland Ford. 25 errors on the Red Sox, 22 on the Twins so far. Grady Sizemore in left, Jackie Bradley Jr. in center, Shane Victorino in right, Middlebrooks, Bogaerts, Pedroia, Napoli, Pierzynski behind the plate. The Red Sox going through a little bit of an adjustment period for Jackie Bradley Jr. Like the Twins have been a little frustrated with Aaron Hicks. The Red Sox haven't really gotten what they hoped to get from Jackie Bradley Jr.
He's got a lot of talent, just like Aaron Hicks, and they're waiting for both these guys to explode and be the potential players that both organizations feel that they have in Jackie Bradley and Aaron Hicks.
Joe Mauer taking a strike from Jake Peavy. And up and in, 1-1.
Joe missed some time with that sprained back. 10 hits and 32 at-bats in his career against Jake Peavy with a home run. Peavy came over from the White Sox last year and joined the Red Sox.
It's down the line, twisting to the corner. Sizemore makes a nice diving catch in fair territory. That time it wasn't so much the infield shift that did Joe Mauer in, it was the outfield shift.
Yeah, former center fielder for the Indians for so many years, gets good speed. Now he's shading Joe a little bit down that line and makes a nice diving catch for the second out.
2 down, and that'll bring up Trevor Plouffe. And a strike on the outside corner. One and one. Twins saw a lot of Peavy when he was with the White Sox. Peavy dominated the Twins for most of his time with Chicago. Dealt to the White Sox mid-season last year. That's up the middle, and it'll skip through. Might have cracked his bat, but Plouffe's aboard with a 2-out single.
He fought that fastball inside, right back up the middle. Well, Peavy, as I mentioned, very good here at Target Field. But over his last 8 starts against the Twins overall, look at the earned run average of 1.89, making his 14th career start overall, 7-3 overall. So he's had success against the Twins. It's time for him to lose.
Here's Jason Kubel, and it's time for him to start swinging the bat again. He kind of ground to a pulp, having to play in the outfield every day with the shortage of outfielders the Twins had. He takes low, ball 1.
Gardy gave him a little bit of a break in Detroit, give him some time just to relax a little bit, kick back, and with the off day yesterday, hopefully come back refreshed, ready to swing that bat.
In all, 3 days off, the last 2 games in Detroit and yesterday. And a strike at the knees, 1-1. Pierzynski will run the ball out to Peavy. Of course, they were teammates together a lot of years in Chicago.
Well, let's see right here. I think AJ crossed up right there. That's what they're discussing right now. Peavy, a strikeout pitcher. He's averaged 8.6 strikeouts per 9 innings. Very good control. Less than 3 walks per 9 innings. Almost 2,000 innings pitched for Peavy. Came into the game about 11 innings short of 2,000 innings.
1-1. And Kubel lifts it foul over the Boston dugout. The key players in the 3-team trade, Peavy coming to Boston, Avisail Garcia going from Detroit to Chicago, and Jose Iglesias going from the Red Sox to the Tigers. Of those 3 key players, Peavy is the only one who figures to play a prominent role for his team, and Tom Hallion rings up Jason Kubel. And the Twins are down 1-0. A hit for the Twins, but a hit taken away by Grady Sizemore. And today the Twins launched the 4th annual Hope Week, an entire week dedicated to giving back to the community. Led by Glenn Perkins this morning, Twins players took kids from the Boys and Girls Clubs of the Twin Cities and Hope kids to Lake Harriet in Minneapolis to go fishing. They were accompanied by a professional fisherman and later had lunch together provided by Subway.
Very nice. Anthony Swarzak was also there. You saw in the photo.
Nolasco to Grady Sizemore, and there is a first pitch strike. Sizemore, quite a story. The numbers aren't all that overwhelming, but then you have to factor in that he has not played Major League Baseball for 2 years. And over the last 4 years, he does not have 400 at-bats. Then one injury after another, and that's only true to a point. The main thing is his knee problem.
Yeah, in September of 2009, had surgery on the left elbow. Then the next year, he had surgery on his left knee. Then the right knee in 2011, 2012, lower back surgery. And in September of 2012, his second surgery on his right knee. Yeah, he's been a mess.
Was considered to be the nucleus of a rebuilt Cleveland Indians team, and health, as much as anything else, kept that from happening. The Indians, of course, gave him every opportunity as recently as last year, but his body wouldn't respond, and so far he's held up in Boston. 2-2. Sizemore, Pierzynski, and Bogaerts. You've got to throw strikes to the Red Sox team, and Velasco's done that, but he's given up a lot of foul balls. Ooh, Tom Hallion, I thought flinched, but he didn't bring up the right arm. 3-2.
Yeah, Tom Hallion, one of those guys, when he gets that third call, he likes to put that right hand up and almost embarrass you up there. That ball just a bit inside.
Full count. Stroke. Oh, what a catch by Mauer. That'll loosen up your back. That's a great catch. That's the finest fielding play we've seen Joe make at his new position.
What a great reaction right there by Joe Mauer, because Sizemore, he hit this ball right on the butt. But Joe Mauer diving to his right. And with that big first baseman's glove, able to get it in the glove. Great defensive play by Joe Mauer.
One down. Same player, different uniform, same reaction. Fans booing A.J. Pierzynski. He hooks one foul. The interesting thing would have been if the Twins had succeeded in re-signing Pierzynski, whether Twins fans would have still booed him. I suspect probably not. Twins were interested. In fact, they took a 2-year run, made a 2-year offer to Pierzynski, but at the end of his career, or nearing it, he wanted to play in the World Series one more time, and he decided he stood a better chance doing that with Boston than the Twins.
Yeah, 6 years he wore a Twins uniform, then the Giants, White Sox, Rangers last year.
2 strikes, and now a ball.
AJ's always been a good hitter. Career .283 hitter coming into this year. 175 career home runs.
Another one stroke foul.
And he has done that as well as any hitter that we have seen over the years, with 2 strikes, able to foul pitches off.
503 at bats last year with Texas. He struck out 76 times. Year before that, he struck out 78 times. That's his career high. 78. Check swing. No, says third base umpire Sean Barber.
For AJ, his 17th season. Came up with the Twins back in 1998.
Two and two. And number foul. Since Ron Gardenhire took over the Twins in 2002, Pierzynski has not played in less than 128 games. And as many as 140 his second year with the White Sox. Been a very durable player.
Yes, he has.
And Nolasco strikes him out, 2 down.
Yeah, for Rick and Nolasco, a second strikeout. In his last start against the Indians, Nolasco had a season high 9 strikeouts in the 6 innings he worked. Fastball, little tail, outer half of the plate. And AJ swinging underneath that high fastball.
All right, tell me everything you know about Xander Bogaerts. You had him on the Dutch team.
Yes, we did. A lot of power. This young man, only 21 years old. Came up a little bit with the Red Sox last year. Out of Aruba. Signed by the Red Sox in 2009.
.44 at bats last year. Enough numbers amassed in the minor leagues. Popped up. And Mauer over for a look, but it's out of play. But enough impressive numbers put together in the minor leagues that the Red Sox felt comfortable getting rid of Iglesias, because they figured this guy can do a good job at short. Some people think he might end up at third base, but right now he's their shortstop, and he's doing quite well in his first season. 1-2. High fly center field. Santana going back, still going back, leaping, and it's off the top of the wall. Bogaerts will have 3. And he'll be held there. A 2-out drive off the top of the fence. Just out of the reach of Danny Santana.
Yeah, Santana went back, and he kind of, I think, let this ball play him a little bit. He maybe should have gone back a little bit quicker. Bogart taking this slow fastball, and he kind of kept drifting on it, and he jumps for it right there, just to the left of his glove.
Wow, that missed going out by 2 inches.
It'll be a triple for Bogarts, his first triple of the year.
Will Middlebrooks will bat. Down the middle of strike. Middlebrooks really just getting his season started. He was down in the minor leagues on a rehab assignment just a couple weeks ago. Just off the plate.
I started the season with the Red Sox and put on a disablist with a right calf strain, activated on April 25th. Red Sox want to see a little more production out of Middlebrooks.
2-1.
Last year in 94 ball games, hit only .227.
When he was rehabbing in Pawtucket, he gave Twins fans some very encouraging reviews on Alex Meyer, who had a great game pitched against the Red Sox AAA team. And Middlebrooks basically said, "You mean to tell me Minnesota's got 5 guys better than him right now?" Breaking ball, missing 3-1 with Jackie Bradley Jr. on deck.
The Twins infield playing back, so they will concede a run here with 1 out. Excuse me, 2 outs. I'm sorry. I was gone a week.
Yeah,
forgot the outs.
Takes a while to get back on the bike. Yeah, I know. 3-1 to Middlebrooks.
Probably why they're playing back.
Tough play, backhanded by Plouffe. Sets and fires. Good play. Left side of the Twins infield's had some long throws to make. They've made them. Bogarts nearly made it 2-0, coming up inches short of a home run, keeping it a 1-0 game. Sox in a little more than a month. The Twins go to Boston for 3, and then they'll be done with the Red Sox for the year. Jake Peavy making the start. We were given wrong information. We had the listings of the rotation. Felix Doubront going today, Peavy tomorrow, and then Clay Buchholz on Thursday. But all along, the Red Sox intended for Peavy to make the start. Doubront will go tomorrow, and then Buchholz will go on Thursday, and we are televising Thursday's game. That's kind of a new development as well. 1-0 to Suzuki. He takes inside 2-0.
Yeah, the biggest thing for Peavy, even though he comes in 1-1, very good earned run average, are the walks. 25 walks in 44 innings pitched this year.
Suzuki takes a strike, 2-1. The way things have been going so far this year, it's ironic that Peavy is not facing Kyle Gibson. Usually Gibson's the guy facing the former Cy Young Award winners, having already faced 4 of them. This one lifted to right, and in his tracks Victorino with the grab, 1 away. That'll bring up Chris Parmelee. Target Field has become the top choice for family fun all across Twins territory, whether it's a birthday, anniversary, or any other family event. Make it happen at a Twins game this summer. Schedule your event in a fully catered Target Field suite, available to groups from 16 to 96 people. Learn more at twinsbaseball.com/groups or call 833-TWINS. Ask about a Twins and Target Field group outing. Here's Parmelee taking a strike on the outside corner. And now with 1 strike, the Red Sox shift the infield.
Parmelee in his 4th game back with the Twins. 4 hits in 12 at-bats so far.
1-1.
And if you hear Peavy yell at himself once in a while, he's one of these guys that will scream out on that mound. That's what you heard right there. Not afraid to show his emotion on the mound.
Fouled away, 1-2. What we saw on the road trip, Parmelee summoned from the minor leagues out of necessity, a much more aggressive Chris Parmelee, particularly with 2 strikes. Taking fewer strikes, he took 1 in his first at bat here, but Chris wants to try to change his approach at the plate, and he ends up taking a close pitch for ball 2.
Yeah, Parmelee down in Rochester, played in 32 ball games, hit 7 home runs, drove in 23. And Tom Bernansky right there, the hitting coach.
2-2 to the Twins right fielder, and now inside 3-2. Parmelee so far 4 for 12. Fouled away again.
Peavy looked like he went to a breaking ball right there. Peavy, a former Cy Young Award winner when he was with the San Diego Padres back in 2007, when he went 19-6 for the Padres, an ERA at 2.54.
Popped up, and another foul ball into the seats. So many times Parmelee last year and the year before, when he'd get to 2 strikes, at bat far too often ended up in a called 3rd strike.
81 strikeouts last year and 294 at bats. So they want him to swing his way on, and won't take a called 3rd strike, and he takes a walk right there. Good at bat for Parmelee.
1-out walk puts him aboard for Eduardo Nunez.
That's his 26th walk of the year for Jake Peavy in 45 innings pitched.
Nunez, as scouted, has hit in a handful of at-bats. 4 hits, 14 at-bats, couple of walks. Serving as a designated hitter for the 2nd time with the Twins. Taken low, ball 1. The 3-man bench for the Twins tonight. Aaron Hicks, Josmil Pinto, Chris Colabello. Of those 3, pretty good bet that at least Pinto and Colabello will be in the lineup tomorrow against a left-handed starter. There's Pinto. This is high and deep to left field. Heading back to the wall is Sizemore. And that's it's a home run. A home run for Nunez, and the Twins take the lead.
Ron Nunez hitting his first home run as a Minnesota Twin, his 11th career home run. The other 10 coming as a Yankee. That sinker down and in, kind of a golf shot. Sizemore going to the fence and leaping up, but it ends up hitting into the planter right over his glove for a 2-run home run. 8th home run that Peavy has allowed on the year.
Hey, if you're going to DH, you better hit it over the fence every once in a while. Their DH hit one out.
I think he's only about 430 behind David Ortiz now. 1
strike to Eduardo Escobar. And that's fouled back. Escobar is a left-handed batter hitting .362. Just 47 at bats, but impressively 17 hits, including his home run. There's another hit. This is what the Twins and every other rebuilding team like to see. Someone who's taken advantage of the opportunity that they've been given through whatever means, whether it's Parmelee given a second chance at a major league career, or Escobar, who patiently at times last year, even in Rochester, was waiting for another chance, and now he's taking advantage of it.
Yeah, and that's what you want to see. You're absolutely right, Dick.
So now Danny Santana, who's trying to make the most of his first opportunity. And he takes ball 1.
Santana, a switch hitter. You see the great numbers. Been a pretty good pinch hitter for the Twins, too. A couple times off the bench. Delivered RBI singles.
Hooks it down the line. Foul by about 5 feet. And that's what we saw throughout the road trip. I know you were watching a lot of the telecast. The man hits the ball harder, at least he has so far, on a much more consistent basis than Pedro Florimon did.
Short, compact swing for Santana from both sides of the plate.
1-1.
Santana at 5'11", about 175, from the Dominican Republic, just 23 years old.
And he takes just off the plate, 2-1.
His 7th pro season already in the Twins organization for Santana, so they signed him very young out of the Dominican Republic.
Three and 1. And this too, something that we saw on the road trip. Rallies starting from the bottom of the lineup. And for the most of the first month and a half, the rallies died in the bottom of the lineup. And now the Twins getting some production from the 6, 7, 8, 9 batters. 3-1. Fouled back 3-2. Saw the ability to hit, strong arm, and speed.
Yeah, in the minor leagues, 117 stolen bases, so the young man has speed. And he's a shortstop that can play other positions.
Escobar goes, and it's ball 4. So Santana, with a breaking ball down around his ankles, checks his swing. He draws a walk. First and second, still only 1 out.
Yeah, second walk of the inning for Peavy.
Pierzynski to the mound.
You see the half swing right there, and AJ went ahead and threw, and then asked Tom Hellion to check. And AJ couldn't believe it. I can't believe AJ would react like that.
Happy with Sean Barber's call, and now top of the order, and Brian Dozier.
AJ always acts like that.
Strike call.
Hey, good to see Dozier hit that 3-run home run.
Yeah.
First one with men on base. Leading the Twins with 9 home runs. His first multi-home run game with runners on.
It's to right center field. Down for a hit. Running toward the gap. It'll score 2. Dozier with a double, and it's 4-1.
You know, I'm just going to say one thing about Brian Dozier. He's got 9 home runs, but he doesn't have many doubles. And it worked out perfect because that's only his 3rd double, but he drives in his 18th and 19th run of the year. Fastball that Dozier takes the other way, splits that gap out in right center. And with the speed of Escobar and Santana on the base paths, Twins add 2 more here in the bottom of the 2nd inning.
Something that seemed unfathomable 2 weeks ago. The 6, 7, 8, and 9 batters have all scored in the same inning. You got a walk, you got a home run, a single and a walk, now a double. Juan Nieves, the pitching coach, with a quick trip to the mound. And now Joe Mauer. Checks his swing. It's ball 1. He's already with 4 hits. They've taken a couple of walks, a couple of extra base hits here in the 2nd inning. Mauer takes a strike. 1-1.
27 pitches used by Peavy so far this inning after only 13 in the 1st.
Up and away.
And he's all over the place.
So we saw that, or at least I noticed it on the Nunez home run. Pierzynski's target was outside off the plate and the pitch was down and in. Nunez just kind of golfed it over the fence. 2-1. And now 3-1 with Blue Fondag.
Runners in scoring position. Joe Mauer outstanding.
Those are his career numbers. 10 points better than his overall batting average. And probably thought that was outside. He was probably right, but it's called a strike. He's lost a couple of batters on 3 and 2 this inning to a base on balls. Parmalee with 1 out, and then Santana, the number 9 batter. Up the middle, and that skips through. Dozier around 3rd, he'll score, and it's a 5-run inning, and 6 straight men have reached against Jake Peavy.
Mauer picking up his 12th RBI. Good at bat for Joe Mauer, right through the wickets. It looked like of Jake Peavy in the center field. So Peavy, who came into Target Field 5-1 with an ERA at 1.72, is getting a little payback by the Twins offense here tonight. And Dozier, guess what? He scores another run.
Game number 37 for the Twins. And Dozier scoring his 35th run. Here's Plouffe. Single to center his first time up. Big swing and a miss on a breaking ball.
Saw Paul Molitor and Brian Dozier communicating right there. He really gives Paul a lot of credit on base running and getting jumps and everything that he's kind of put into his work habits. He thanks Paul Molitor for that as far as base running.
Anybody who saw Paul play knew he was one of the more cerebral players, a thinking man's player, and he has helped Dozier immensely. And guy at the plate too would tell you that Paul spent an awful lot of time not just working with him but talking with him. There's a ground ball sharply hit, and it's an inning-ending double play. Good inning for the Twins. 6 straight men reach, and 5 of them score. It's a 5-1 Twins lead. What's next? By Northland Ford. Visit northlandford.com and your local Northland Ford dealers today. And by Grand Casino. The best stories start here.
Good start for the Twins. Even though the Red Sox scored the first run, the Twins now have a 5-1 lead with Ricky Nolasco pitching to the number 9 batter, Jackie Bradley Jr. Not only are Bradley and Hicks 24 years old, they both open up a lot of eyes in spring training, which doesn't count. At least it hasn't yet. Aaron Hicks 2 years ago in spring training led the team in home runs, in batting average, made the jump from Double-A. Bradley similarly had a great spring training in 2013.
Yeah, both of them number 1 picks.
A fly to center and Santana drifting back. Makes the catch, 1 away.
Well, Dustin Pedroia coming up. Let's take a look at the Mall of America scouting report on Dustin Pedroia. Now, here's a guy they list him at 5'8", but I shook his hand before the game. He's no taller than 4'5". No. But, you know, what you want to do is he's very quick inside on pitches inside. He's got some power, even though he's at 5'8". Get ahead with the fastball down and away, and then he will chase the breaking ball down. There's a fastball right there, outer half of the plate to get ahead like he did in his first at-bat, Nolasco against Pedroia. Pedroia, a 9-pitch at-bat in that first out.
Slow breaking ball. Missing. High, I guess. 1-1. Plays a different position, but you can see, I think, Pedroia's career extending into Boston's version of Derek Jeter. Jeter always played hard. Nothing off the field of any controversial nature. A fan favorite. Seemingly didn't care about anything other than what happened between the lines. And Pedroia is the same type of player.
That's a good pitch right there. Yeah, they'll say, Pedroia would say, if there's a night game and the next day is a day game, you know, here on Wednesday night, he might sleep at the ballpark. All he thinks is baseball. Still a little pitch by pitch again. Fastball for strike 1. And then the breaking ball that just missed took something off that curveball. And then back with a good fastball, and then struck him out with a good fastball. So Nolasco picks up his 3rd strikeout.
Up high to Victorino with Ortiz on deck. Still hasn't taken his batting helmet off. It's like he doesn't want the at bat to end. 1-0 to Victorino. And a strike. Now it's over.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that, you know, you call gamers, and you can see the look in his face that he's upset at that last at bat. And he'll carry it into the next at bat.
Breaking ball tap foul. A lot of players can do that for show, but he's convinced everyone, teammates, Boston fans, fans around baseball, that he feels it. It's his game. He is a very intense player. 1-2. There's a half swing, strike 3. Good inning for Ricky Nolasco. A couple of strikeouts and a 1-2-3 inning after his team gave him a 4-run lead. photo using hashtag NorthFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by AT&T. Twins lighting up Jake Peavy with a 5-run second inning. Now Jason Kubel will lead off the third.
Yeah, 34 pitches needed by Peavy in that second inning when the Twins put 5 on the board.
Up and away, ball 1. Kubel back in left field, followed by Suzuki and Parmalee here in the Twins' third.
Changeup at 86. Peavy making his 313th major league start. He has 133 wins, 99 losses. Career ERA at 3.5.
To the first baseman, Napoli. Peavy covering one away. Owning Twins season tickets provide a lot more than a guaranteed seat. Season ticket holders get a variety of benefits, starting with 2014 All-Star Game ticket purchase priority. Call 800-33-TWINS or go to twinsbaseball.com. There's a season ticket plan that fits every fan. Kurt Suzuki had a fly ball to right his first time up.
50 right now for Peavy. 30 strikes, couple walks, 1 strikeout. Both walks have scored last inning.
Up and in, ball 1. Twins were interested in signing A.J. Pierzynski to get him to come back to Minnesota. That didn't work out. And so the Twins were left still with the need to get a veteran catcher, and they settled on Kurt Suzuki. And so far it's worked out marvelously for the Twins. Suzuki came to the Twins with a reputation of being a defensive-minded catcher. That's not been AJ's reputation. And now the Twins are getting a lot of offense to boot.
Yeah, Suzuki 30 years old.
And the man there, of course, the nucleus for all the decision making. What would he need and what would best serve Josmil Pinto in his development as the catcher of the future?
Well, he's got to do exactly like we showed him right there. Watch these 2 veteran catchers go about their work. Become a student of the game.
2-2. And that's been the thing that's been most impressive about Pinto. The ball punched and into right field past Napoli. Suzuki keeps his batting average back up above 300 with a 1-out single here in the third.
Yeah, when you get the high reviews from Terry Steinbach on his work ethics, Pinto's work ethics, that's saying something right there. Ball down and away, and Suzuki just kind of gets the barrel of the bat out there and lines it into right field. Right past Napoli. Twins get their 6th hit of the ball game.
And now Parmalee. Didn't get a hit, but he should assume a lot of responsibility for the 5-run second inning. He ground out an at-bat against Peavy. Some 2-strike fouls, worked it full, ended up drawing a walk, and by inning's end the Twins had a 5 spot on the board. Fouled back, 1-1. And if you were watching on the road, you know that the Twins had to create room for Parmalee. They had to add him once again to the 40-man roster. 1-1 from PV to Parmalee. And a strike taken, 1-2.
Remember in his first at-bat, Peavy tried a couple times inside and missed. That time he ended up getting the called strike on the fastball inside. Going back inside again as AJ creeps inside.
And he missed, as he did in Parmelee's first plate appearance. High. Parmelee raising his arms and taking a ball. 2-2. Off the glove of Pedroia. Safe at second. A wicked smash, and Pedroia could only slow it down. Parmelee with another good at bat and an infield hit.
Chris, I mean, he hit the heck out of this ball, and there's Pedroia, 3-time Gold Glove winner, diving for it, knocking it down. It just gets away from him, but look, he doesn't give up, bare hands it, and tries to get the force out at second base, and Suzuki sliding there just in time.
2 aboard now for Nunez. Twins leadoff man was retired in the second, but then 6 straight batters reached. We'll see what Nunez can do to keep the line moving here in the third. Strike on the outside corner. A lot of opportunities to hit against Boston pitching as a member of the Yankees. Big swing and a foul that got Tom Hallion.
AJ making sure that the home plate umpire and the crew chief here, Tom Hallion's okay. Sure, this ball gets him right off the chest protector. Yeah, ouch.
Was not a glancing blow.
No, it was not.
2 strikes to Nunez. Snapped his bat. That ball's going to roll up the line. And Nunez retired by a half step. Both runners move up. That ball was so much a jam shot, it didn't have a chance to roll foul.
Yeah, Middlebrooks had a chance to kind of wait back and get the force out at third base because that ball was coming right at him as Suzuki was right behind him. But he decides to charge that ball and get the out at first. This is a jam shot right here. One of the best sounds in baseball.
Ouch. Now Escobar, who singled to right and scored his last time up. Fouls it back. Big at bat here. The Twins already leading by 4. But they've got a chance to score a couple more here if Escobar can deliver another hit to the outfield.
Escobar kind of twisting his neck right there on that last swing. Stepped out. Took a little extra time.
This to left center field. Bradley retreats to make the catch. Another well hit ball by Escobar. The Twins strand 2 in the third.
5 in the bottom of the second.
Which Red Sox player has the most all-time career home runs against the Twins? Obvious names would be Yastrzemski, Rice. Ortiz drives another one to right center. Headed for the same spot. 2 swings, 2 home runs. And it's 5-2.
Well, home run number 9 on the year and his 17th career home run against the Twins, if that helps you.
Pair of solo home runs for Ortiz, who's wasting little time in punishing the Twins in this series.
Well, he hit the breaking ball the first time up for a home run, this time a fastball. And Ortiz lifting that right leg up and planting it and then showing off his power again. His 440th career home run.
What was that, about 5 feet from where the first one landed? That's pretty good accuracy. Forget the distance. That's great accuracy. 42nd time. There's a half swing. And a strike, 1-1 to Mike Napoli.
Well, you could almost circle that area right there where the home run went. Both of them.
Enjoy your drinks now. You won't be coming up to bat for another 40 minutes. To the left center, high and deep. Santana with the catch on the edge of the warning track, 1 down. Dick Kramer, Bert Blyleven, joined by one of Bert's favorite battery mates, Tim Laudner.
Yes.
How are you, buddy?
Hello, Tim.
They say, fellas.
And one of my favorite former
Thank
Twins
you, buddy.
as well.
Thank you. Good to be with you guys.
We've talked a lot about the Twins catching situation this year, and what have you seen in the development long-term of Josmil Pinto and how he's been benefiting from both Terry Steinbach and Kurt Suzuki this year?
You know what? He's doing a pretty good job. Obviously, we know he can hit, and that's showing up very clear. He can drive the baseball, but behind the plate, there's some rough edges there. We got to sand some of those rough edges down and work on some of those things that are going to allow him to be much more efficient and much more effective behind the plate.
Who helped you the most, Tim, in your development?
You know what? There was a combination of people. Certainly, Rick Stelmazik, the bullpen coach, helped me a lot. Sal Butera helped me a lot. I didn't spend much time with Butch Weiniger, but a lot of it too that Pinto's going to have to go through. Some of it is just on-the-job training. You have to experience, and once you experience, you try not to make the same mistakes twice. So that's a hard thing to do, also, whether you're a pitcher or a catcher. But some of the on-the-job training is the most valuable.
Let me ask you, when you're behind the plate, Suzuki, known as a good handler of the staff, as you were too. Now, Pinto's got to learn that. But are there things that he can watch to make himself a better catcher?
Yeah, a lot of things that he can do. One of the things that I've noticed so much is that, and I'm sure that Steinbach and the guys down there are talking to him about it, he gets very, very wide in his stance. Once you get so very wide in your catching stance, your hips get locked and you cannot move properly behind the plate. You don't see any other players on the field start with their feet so wide. All the other players on the field are in a very athletic position. Josmil Pinto also needs to be in a very athletic position behind the plate with his feet shoulder width apart. Certainly he's in a catching situation, but you can see Kurt Suzuki right there. He's not very wide. This is a running situation with the guy on first base, and you want to make sure that you give your pitcher every opportunity to throw the ball over the plate. The hitter is still the guy that you want to work so hard to get out. If you can throw the runner out, great. But, for Kurt Suzuki to be in a position where you can move athletically from side to side laterally, just like the infielders and the outfielders do, that's going to give you the best opportunity to be more effective and efficient behind the plate.
Now, right there with a runner on, Sizemore's got pretty good speed, so you're going to have to open up a little bit to get yourself prepared to put the weight on that right foot.
You start with the once he gives the sign right here, he's going to then shift. Now I think we're going to throw over to first base right here, and just to make sure that he's doing what he's supposed to. Yeah, little movement there, a little bit of a wiggle. That'll give Gardy and Terry Steinbach a little opportunity to maybe do it again. But So Suzuki's going to look in. He's going to see what the guys on the bench want to do. Going to go with the slider. So he's going to set up with his weight on his right foot. Running situation. He's going to be ready to move laterally his center line just a little bit to his right and hope the ball doesn't back up. We used to throw some backups. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Red Sox.
I'm just happy I got it to you.
Red Sox have just 11 steals this year. They've also been thrown out 11 times.
Yeah, Sizemore 2 for 2 stolen bases attempts.
John Farrell frustrated enough to where he said over the weekend, maybe we ought to just stop trying. They've been giving away a lot of outs on the bases. Twins bench, including Terry Steinbach, enjoying the fact that Pierzynski fouled the ball off his front leg.
You remember before when we talked about that before, Dick? That Suzuki will say, hey, you okay? Go ahead and throw another one down in there, and he'll hope he hits it off his other foot. There it is. See it?
1-2. And a nice block again by Suzuki. We've talked about it up here. And it just seems like Suzuki, that's one of his strengths, his ability to block pitches like this.
And the reason that it is one of his best attributes is the fact that he's so technically good at it.
What do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is his right knee will go at a 45-degree angle towards the pitch, and he will square himself up because that slider is going to work back towards the middle, but he's technically in the proper position to go ahead and make that block, keep it in front of him. There's an area up there that might be just a little bit bigger than his arm span that he's responsible for. And anything outside of that, we got to find a new pitcher.
That last pitch, good moving fastball down and away. Nolasco picks up his 5th strikeout. AJ having some words with Tom Hallion, but it looked like he went.
But now, wasn't that pitch set up by the breaking pitch down and in?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Here's Bogarts.
Let me ask you something. We talked about it on the conference call. As a catcher, okay, you can sometimes, the pitcher's idea is to make that plate expand a little bit. Can you talk to you're better off talking to the umpire behind the plate in this position, like Suzuki, rather than with no mask on when you're up at bat.
You can have a conversation and you can have basically a 9-inning relationship with that umpire, and 40,000 people have no idea that you're even talking to him, which is the best of all scenarios. And so, I did have an opportunity to talk with Kurt before the game. We had some fun, and we talked about the relationship that you have with those umpires. And he said for the first 2 years that he was in the league, he never even talked to an umpire.
This one cracked to left. And making the catch is Kubel to end the inning. Timmy, thanks for the trip up the stairs up here to the booth. We'll look forward to watching
you for your knowledge.
Way to go, fellas. Good to be with you.
Thank you for that little pea brain knowledge you have.
national monument, the only place in the world to find red pipestone used for fashioning ceremonial pipes used by the American Indians. To plan a trip you'll never forget, visit exploreminnesota.com and discover a world that's only in Minnesota. Here's a bunt, and Santana is thrown out on a close play. One down.
A nice play by Peavy right there, jumping off the mound, barehanding it, and then getting the speedy Santana out at first. That throw almost into the runner. But Santana hustling out of the box, and it's nice to see a bunt, an attempted bunt, and you see what nice play that Peavy had to make to get him. We saw that so many times, or the lack of, from Florimon and Hicks.
And now Dozier bluffs a bunt. It was almost an appealable play there. That was close. Dozier with a 2-run double and a run scored in the second inning when the Twins scored 5. Outside. You know, one of the frustrations I think for Rod Carew is he's tried to get these players to bunt more. And we're going back to Casilla and Gomez. Guys like that. Rod's always felt that the Twins who could bunt don't bunt enough. Saying that, all right, you drop down a good bunt, the guy made a play, you forced him to make a play to throw you out. If you drop down 2 more bunts, you're at least going to get 1 more hit. Don't stop because somebody made a good play.
Yeah, exactly. I know, talking to Rod at spring training, you know, after working with these guys, and he said some of these guys can really bunt well, but they don't carry it into the season.
This one chopped in front of Middlebrooks, who backhands it and fires across 2 down.
And that's one thing with Florimon down in AAA. Hopefully somebody convince him that he needs to learn how to bunt to utilize his speed. And that's going to get him maybe 15, 20 more hits. I talk about all the time with Brett Butler when I played with him in Cleveland. He'd lay down 15 to 20 bunts a year for base hits. And that's the difference between hitting, 270 and 290.
One of my favorite things to ask Rod, of course, now he was the best bunter perhaps of all time, but certainly in his generation, what his bunting average was, just to prove how much of a weapon it could be. He said somebody figured it out, and he bunted at a 784 average.
Yep.
1-0 to Mauer. Hit the ball hard once for an out.
That does so many things when you're able to lay down the bunt. It brings in the corner infielders, and it cuts down their range, whether you take the ball with you toward first base or you bunt it toward third.
2-0 to Mauer. Mauer hit the ball hard for an out in the first, then hit a ground ball right up the middle to drive in a run in the second. 1 for 2. The average right now at 301. Some of us anyway, I was in that group, figured that Joe very likely will continue to contend for batting titles with the transition to first base. I think we've started to see already maybe the effects of Joe not being punished behind the plate with foul tips. Here's a ball again, hit to the corner. Sizemore, about where he made the catch in the first inning, makes a catch there. The Twins go down 1-2-3 in the 4th.
Pepsi fans of the game bundled up on a cool night.
It is going to warm up here in Minnesota. It is going to warm up a little bit.
Long about Labor Day.
Okay.
Should be up around 70 degrees, I think.
Good.
Will Middlebrooks, 8th place hitter, will lead off the 5th against Ricky Nolasco. So far it's Twins 5, David Ortiz 2. Ball 1. Red Sox coming into this series having won 3 straight series. The chopper foul.
Yeah, just one game over 500 are the Red Sox. A game and a half behind the first place Baltimore Orioles. Been playing good baseball.
Orioles leading 1-0 over the Tigers in the bottom of the 8th at Camden Yards. 1-1. And a breaking ball taken for strike 2.
Yeah, big slow curveball right there by Nolasco.
Tigers have the best record in baseball. And nobody else in the division is so much as playing 500 baseball in the Central. And a nice start to the 5th inning for Nolasco.
And strikeout number 6.
Time now for the T-Mobile Game Changer, which over the last 14 games has been the Twin starters. An ERA of just under 4 and just 25 walks over 81 2/3 innings pitched. And an opponent batting average of .269. In other words, the Twins have seen the improvement they'd hoped for when they invested heavily in the starting rotation in the offseason.
Well, you know, there's Rick Anderson right there talking to Kyle Gibson, but I think we have to give Nolasco, Phil Hughes a break on the first couple starts that they had, especially, you come to a new ball club, you sign a big contract, you want to impress everybody, and I think Nolasco went through that in the month of April. Last couple starts, consistent starts. Kyle Gibson just getting his feet wet. He's had some really good outings and some not so good outings.
Right to Dozier, number 2.
And Phil Hughes, he's had 4 outstanding starts in a row.
You can see the Twins in the first 22 games, starting rotation was horrible.
It's a big start for Correa tomorrow because he's really been struggling. Of the other starters, he's been the one that has kind of pitched like Mike Pelfrey. So
and Mike Pelfrey is out of the rotation, right, on the disabled list. There's Dustin Pedroia, bouncer to short and a strikeout. Tapper foul. And that's one area too. And the hope is the Twins won't have to do it prematurely. One of the differences between the Twins this year and Twins in the last 3 years, there are guys in the minor leagues that, if not immediate help, should provide some long-term help. Trevor May doing a nice job. Fox Tracks presented by Jeep. Trevor May doing a nice job tonight for Rochester. Alex Meyer had it going for a while, and the last couple haven't been as good. And now Escobar backhands it, sets, and fires. A 1-2-3 5th inning for Ricky Nolasco.
Bottom of the 5th inning. I'm Jamie Hirsch inside the Minnesota Lottery Winners Circle with a birthday girl enjoying her time at Target Field with mom and sister. What do you think of your first Target Field experience, Angie?
It's great. I love it here. It's great seats.
And you decided to come all the way from Fargo to celebrate your birthday here, right?
I sure did. Yes.
Awesome. Well, we're going to give you $100 worth of scratch-offs to help you celebrate today. Enjoy it.
Thank you.
They can very...
Congratulations. You are hereby circled, young lady. All the way down from Fargo. I was up in Fargo for the Winter Caravan. I believe you went south, you said.
I took the Sun Belt.
Yeah.
Got down into South Dakota and northern Iowa.
Always fun. I enjoy the Caravan. Made so many great Twins fans.
One strike to Trevor Plouffe, who calls for and gets time. The Twins put 5 up on Peavy in the second. Had a threat in the third, but didn't score. Swing and a foul, and that got Pierzynski. 2 strikes.
Peavy trying to keep this game close. 5 runs at the bottom of the second, but he has settled down nicely. Retired the last 5 Twin batters he's faced.
That one made it about 3 feet beyond the grass.
Just a bit outside.
The American League East was, by most estimations, going to be the toughest division in baseball. It hasn't played out that way yet. You have the defending world champions in the division, the Yankees, Baltimore team that figured to be better. Tampa Bay is always good, and of the teams in the division, Tampa Bay is the one team that's been a disappointment.
Yeah, so far.
2-2 to Plouffe, and now inside 3-2, Kubel on deck. The Twins have already faced 3 teams out of the East and won the 3 series 2-1 here against Baltimore, here against Toronto, and in St. Petersburg. This one hit high and hard to right center field, chased by Jackie Bradley Jr., and that's high off the wall. Plouffe has a double. Great at bat, with Trevor picking up a couple of hits here in the first game of the series.
Yep, his base hit in his first at bat, then right there got the count to 3-2 for his 15th double of the year. Peavy challenging him with a fastball, and Trevor Plouffe. I was watching Trevor Plouffe in batting practice hit balls out of the ballpark. Such a nice, easy swing, and the ball just pops off his bat. Good swing right there for a leadoff double.
See what Kubel can get done here. Strikeout looking and a bouncer to first. Taken low, ball 1.
Plouffe right up there with leading the major leagues in doubles.
Just need to get another run across here. They had a chance to add to the lead in the third, didn't get it done. And now Kubel takes a strike, 1-1. Semi shift on for Jason. Bogart's the shortstop, lined up behind the second base bag.
That's kind of the pitch that struck out Kubel at the end of the first inning. That fastball down and away. Jason's job right here, try to get Trevor Plouffe over to third. The worst thing you can do. Just 1 for 13 lifetime against Jake Peavy, and that one was a home run.
Now 1-2. Josh Willingham took batting practice today. The Twins starting left fielder. Willingham, the plan is, I think, to have him take batting practice on the field here a couple more days and then start a rehab assignment.
He told me he'd like to go down starting Friday down to rehab.
1-2. And Kubel taps it foul. Peavy will try to use every trick in his bag to try to strike Kubel out here.
Yeah, the only strikeout he has so far was Kubel to end the first. Pitch count mounting.
One of 3 lefties for the Red Sox. Lefty relievers. Chris Capuano warming up. Peavy just staring in now, has his sign from Pierzynski. Another 1-2 coming. 2-2.
A couple times he's tried that breaking ball down and in. Remember, he struck out Kubel on that good sinking fastball down and away. See if he goes back to that. '87 pitches for Peavy, 53 strikes.
And now 3-2.
Look with a changeup. This might be the worst I've seen Peavy as far as control. A couple walks, but he's kind of fallen behind on a lot of hitters.
3-2 to Kubel. That's to left center. Plouffe is setting up for a possible tag. Bradley with the catch. Plouffe trying to advance. And a good base running play by Trevor Plouffe. Kubel ends up advancing the runner from second to third.
Yeah, very good base running right there by Plouffe. Seeing that that ball was in the gap. Either Sizemore catches it, which is a right-handed thrower, or it was Bradley that ended up catching it, but had to go into that gap. And Plouffe tagging up and making it over to third. So Kubel does his job to advance Plouffe over to third.
And that brings the Red Sox infield in for Kurt Suzuki. 24 runs batted in. Second on the team to Chris Colabello. It wouldn't take much at all to make this a 6-2 ball game. Down and away, ball one. One for two for Suzuki, and the average at 304. Base hit. A scalding line drive for Suzuki, and he drives in his 25th run of the year.
Peavy left a changeup that stayed up right in the sweet spot for Suzuki. Gets his second hit, drives in his 25th run.
That'll be the end of the night for Jake Peavy, who only goes 4 1/3 innings here tonight.
He was not as sharp as we have seen Peavy in the past.
Peavy knocked out in the 5th. 6 earned runs logged against him, and he's responsible for Suzuki. And now Capuano comes in for the Red Sox. For the dads and daughters ticket offer Sunday against the Connecticut Sun for just $33. Fans receive 2 tickets to the game and a drawstring backpack. For details, visit foxsportsnorth.com. Click on the More tab for details. The daughters, I'm sure, treated mom to a special day on Sunday. Now a chance to return the favor or do something similar for dad. Chris Capuano comes into the ball game with a man on, a man in, and a man out.
Yeah, Capuano, former starter with the Brewers, also the Mets, and also the Dodgers in his first season with the Boston Red Sox.
He started out the season with 15 scoreless innings. The overall number is still good, but he's given up some runs here in his last couple outings, and he'll face Chris Parmelee with 1 out in the 5th. Suzuki checked at first. Toronto's beaten Cleveland 5-4 behind R.A. Dickey.
If they stay healthy, Toronto with Mark Burley and R.A. Dickey, that's a club that could stay in that race too. Just over the years, they've just had so many injuries.
Under the glove of Pedroia. Suzuki round second. He'll gain third base. Really good at bat for Parmelee. He's 2 for 2 with a walk. And he gets a base hit against a lefty here in the 5th.
I was going to say that's a good at bat for Parmelee. Didn't waste any time. Looked for the fastball, got it, hit right back up the middle against a left-handed pitcher. Well, Parmelee picking up his second hit of the ball game. Pedroia diving for it, coming up a bit short. And they say that a lot about Pedroia, a bit short, but.
Wow, you're on him. See, Parmelee's done okay against lefties. One would hope as the overall numbers get better that Parmelee will have more and more opportunities to hit against lefties. That gets by, and now Suzuki is able to get back to third. He came halfway home and then saw the carom. Parmelee was able to advance to second base.
Well, Suzuki knows as good as anybody with that ball getting behind you. What will that ball do when it does hit that wall behind you? And that kind of caroms right back to AJ. And Suzuki went about halfway and then scooted back to third. See him right there, put on a halt and then get back. It'll be a wild pitch charged to Capuano, allowing Parmelee to get to second base.
Potentially a big wild pitch, even though Suzuki didn't score, because now the Red Sox bring the infield in again. As it was, they had a chance to stay back, maybe get an inning-ending double play like they did in the second inning. But now, since that isn't a possibility anymore, they've got to bring the infield in. 2-0 to Nunez. Escobar on deck. Swing and a miss. Nunez getting an off-speed pitch on 2-0.
Almost like a screwball, just Capuano turning that ball over, down and away. Wild pitch by Capuano, his first of the year.
Other lefties for the Red Sox, and we might see all of them in this series. Andrew Miller and former Twin Craig Breslow. There's a strike that covers the inside corner. Fastball on the inside corner after the changeup, screwball, whatever it was, got a swinging strike for strike one.
Capuano, 209 major league starts. Now in the bullpen. 35 years old.
2-2 to Nunez. Now 3-2, a base open, and Eduardo Escobar on deck.
Capuano came into this game 17 2/3 innings, 17 strikeouts, 5 walks, just 1 intentional.
Full count to Eduardo Nunez. Struck him out.
That pulled the string right there. Nunez way out front. So probably looking fastball, and that changeup Nunez swings through it.
Cabrera just hit a 3-run home run in the 9th inning with 2 out against Tommy Hunter of the Orioles. Now Detroit leading 3-1. And now Escobar came up in a big spot in the 3rd and hit a fly out to end the inning. Getting another chance here in the 5th. Down and in, ball 1.
Escobar now is a right-handed hitter. 4 hits and 16 at bats, hitting a .250.
A home run for the Twins last year as a right-handed batter. Here the Twins would like a single to center. Infield, of course, back at normal depth. Changeup tickles the outside corner. Farrell hoping that Capuano can keep the Red Sox in this game. He's out hitting Boston 10-4. In the dirt, a check swing and a nice block by Pierzynski. 2-1.
Oh, that changeup right there. Watch AJ smother this ball. And then asking first base umpire Eric Cooper if he went.
Two and one. Called strike. Escobar backed out of the way, but Tom Hallion said it caught the corner. 2-2.
Let's take a look at the pitch right here. AJ sitting inside and up in the zone. Watch AJ hold this ball right there. Got to bring it back a little bit. He gets the ball.
Two and two to the Twins shortstop. Bouncer to short. Bogarts has it. And the inning ends. Twins get a leadoff double, turn it into a run, and it's 6-2. To be back in tropical Minnesota. Burton getting loose out in the bullpen. Twins leading 6-2.
And Alasko doing a good job. 6 strikeouts, no walks in first 5 innings.
An important guy to get here because David Ortiz is on deck. Victorino's 0 for 2. Ortiz is 2 for 2 with 2 home runs. One and one.
Good curveball right there and a fastball count. Victorino in his 2nd season with the Red Sox.
That's to right field, and the ball off of Parmalee toward the warning track, and Victorino round second, and he'll gain third base. Like Parmalee got there, and then the ball hit either his arm or his glove, and Victorino ends up at third base.
You know, and I really think that Parmalee thought he had to come in and dive for it. It had like it was going to sink in front of him, but the ball just kept on the same plane and hit off the top of his glove. It looked like this ball right here. Parmalee came in, looked like he's ready to dive, and the ball stayed up, hit off his wrist, and then deflected away into a short right center. And then Victorino sliding into third. Ouch.
Jammed his right foot hard into the bag, and the left one right behind it.
Second triple of the game for the Boston Red Sox. For Victorino, his first of the year.
Now Ortiz with a runner at third, nobody out. Twins will shift him, and they're ready because they've been in the general vicinity of both of Ortiz's home run blast.
Well, he's hit a curveball, then he jumped on that first pitch fastball in his last at bat in the 4th.
What else you got? Throw something else.
A knuckleball.
And strike one.
That looked like the changeup right there. At 79.
24 opponents have hit 3 home runs against the Twins in a game. Most recently Curtis Granderson for the Yankees in 2012.
But that was in New York. That doesn't count.
And he slaps it to left, scoring a run. And it's a 6-3 game.
He has again enjoyed hitting against Twins pitching, no matter who it has been out on that mound. Coming into this ballgame since 2003, David Ortiz is a .333 career hitter against the Twins. Looked like a changeup away, good pitch, but David Ortiz just reaches out and pokes it softly in the left field, picking up his 3rd RBI of the ballgame.
6,
Victorino.
3, nobody out. Napoli at the plate. And a strike called. Again, the corner outfield defense, which has been such a trouble spot for the Twins this year. It's not an error on Parmalee, but it's a ball that could have, maybe should have been caught. And it's already led to 1 run here in the 6th inning. And Nolasco misses the inside corner. Might be Nolasco's last inning of work. Nice block again by Suzuki. To me, more than Victor Martinez in Detroit, or before him, Prince Fielder, the Red Sox have to have an effective run-producing bat hitting behind Ortiz. He's been intentionally walked. Ortiz has 7 times.
Well,
You'd expect that number to be 2 or 3 times more than that, except for Napoli's reputation as a pretty clutch RBI guy.
Yeah, I mean, Napoli last year, he hit 260. He's not going to hit 280, 290, but he's going to drive in runs. Last year, 23 home runs, drove in a career high 92. So you do protect them a little bit.
3-1. to center, and Santana frozen at first, makes a catch on the edge of the track. A great recovery by Danny Santana for the first out. He was fooled on the Bogarts triple in the second inning, and that one hypnotized him for a moment.
That ball was hit hard. I'm sure as a center fielder, sometimes those are the hardest to judge because it's out of line. Santana, and they said, you know, as an outfielder, what you want to do is stop for a second and then try to track that ball where it's going. And that ball almost, it did somehow juggle and stay in his glove for the first out.
Now Grady Sizemore. Foul back, strike.
Now, we talked about all the shortstops playing different positions, but you know, Parmalee, a first baseman mainly, when he came up and signed, #1 pick by the Twins, now playing the outfield. Santana, shortstop, playing center field. Kubel, most of the time he has spent in right field. Now he's in left, so you know, guys all over the place. Mauer, former catcher, now at first base.
Another nice dig by Suzuki. You know, at the start of the year, with the assumption that Oswaldo Arcia is going to be in right, and Josh Willingham in left, and I don't think anybody perceived that corner outfield defense would be a strength of the Twins. But with those guys out, it's just not been good. And it's been a whole cast of characters in left field and, to somewhat of a lesser extent, right field. Twins for most of the year in right field have had Chris Colabello, who's a first baseman.
Right.
2-1. Swing and a miss, 2-2. Velasco trying to get off the mound here in the 6th inning with a 3-run lead. Two and two. A tapper and foul.
We see the 96 pitches for Nolasco. 61 have been strikes. Nolasco making his 220th major league start as Michael Tompkins starting to warm up in the bullpen. 91 wins, 78 losses for Ricky Nolasco.
Another 2-2. And Ortiz strays a little bit, but Suzuki got enough of that to keep Ortiz at first.
Yeah, the big man Ortiz thought about it, but decided, watch Ortiz, top of your screen. Whoa, big fella.
Full count. And Ortiz will not be going with 1 out, I would think. Ball 4, and now the Red Sox get the tying run to the plate in A.J. Pierzynski, and that'll bring Rick Anderson out of the dugout.
Yeah, first walk for Nolasco in the ball game.
Not much in the way of stressful at bats until this 6th inning. Joined by partner Bert Blyleven and the Minnesota Stroke Association for the 2014 Strides for Stroke Walk, coming up Saturday at Battle Creek Regional Park in Maplewood. The Strides for Stroke Walk raises awareness and helps fund programs that benefit the over 97,000 Minnesotans who live with the effects of a stroke. To find out how you can get involved, visit foxsportsnorth.com. Click on the More tab for details.
You know, in the United States, everyone has a stroke every 40 seconds. There's someone that has a stroke, and not only myself, and also Jeff Passel will be there.
Right.
So we're looking forward to the walk.
Here's Pierzynski, a couple of swinging strikeouts. Nolasco just would like to get an out here. Down and away, ball 1.
Well, Nolasco's been able to get 6 double plays turned behind him so far. This is his 8th start of the year. See if AJ can hit a sharply ground ball at one of the infielders.
Backhanded by Suzuki, and it's 2-0.
.21 in the first, and then you see the 12, 15, 10, but so far here in the sixth, 20 at an even 100.
Anderson may have told Nolasco this will be your last batter. He's handled Pierzynski. He has not handled Bogaerts, the on-deck hitter, very well. 2-0. Chopped up the line, foul. Bogaerts has the triple off the top of the center field fence. And in the fourth inning, he lined out to Kubel out on the edge of the warning track. Don't know with the lead on the line, perhaps, that the Twins are going to want to roll the dice with Nolasco facing Bogaerts. 2-1. What's a double play ball grounder here?
There you go.
6-4-3.
There you go. Good call.
Takes care of that. One for the Red Sox.
I called it first, but you called it too. So good call.
The Twins get out of the inning leading by 3.
Is presented by Toyota. Let's go places. To find your nearest Toyota dealer and check out our current offers, visit buyatoyota.com. And by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, for the everyday competitor in all of us.
6-3, Ricky Nolasco with a nice job of damage control after a leadoff triple, second Red Sox triple, and he might be done for the day, and technically this goes as a quality start, but that's what the Twins need from their rotation members on a regular basis, a bare minimum of a foundation of a quality start just about every time out.
Yeah. And really they've been getting that as of late, so starters are doing a better job. Twins offense have been scoring the runs to allow that too. A big 5-run bottom of the second, giving Nolasco a little bit of breathing room.
Santana walked and scored in the second, laid down a pretty good bunt, but Peavy made a better play to throw him out, leading off the fourth. Now batting as a right-handed batter, and he takes ball 2. Couple of hits, both singles, and 3 at-bats. Pinch hit RBI single in Detroit on Sunday. You know, the one thing that the young man has done, and I don't think anyone's expecting him to draw 100 walks a year, but he's taken pitches to get himself in some favorable counts. And more often than not, he's up there with a 2-0 count. 2-1 now. 3-1. 3-1 to Santana, leading off the Twins 6. Big swing on the 3-1 pitch.
Santana, we go off minor league numbers in 7 minor league seasons, 25 home runs in 7 years, so not a lot of power, but tried to hit one in a gap right there.
Full count. And he took a call, 3rd strike. Milano floated that changeup for a strikeout, 1 away. The lows never stop improving. That's kind of been the progression for Brian Dozier the last couple of years.
Yeah, and that's what you want to see. His first 121 games at the major league level, a little trouble, average wise, but over the last, 146 ball games, hey, hitting 250, scoring runs, hitting some home runs. 18 home runs last year, leads the club this year with 9.
We are not even at the quarter pole of the season. So it's always fun this time of the year. Take the numbers, multiply them times 4. Brian Dozier with 36 home runs. Wow. To left field.
He got underneath that breaking ball right there.
And out on the warning track, Sizemore makes the catch out number 2. Tough news, not just for the Marlins, but for everybody in baseball. Last year, it was Matt Harvey of the Mets who really took the National League by storm. He was cut down by Tommy John surgery, and it looks like that's where Fernandez is headed. Sprained right elbow is the diagnosis right now, but reading between the lines, it doesn't look good for Fernandez to keep pitching this year.
I read an article. There have been 15 Tommy John surgeries performed already this year. And I think there's still a couple in the waiting, and Fernandez looks like he's going to be maybe next on the list. That's too bad.
Well, the Marlins have been very careful with him in terms of both the pitch count and innings pitched. And by all accounts, the young man is maniacal about working. Here's a ground ball through the hole, so Mauer beats the shift for the second time with a ground ball. The Twins get a 2-out single. Joe 2 for 4.
Well, there's so many things that everybody has a theory on why there are more Tommy John surgeries. If there's an answer, then somebody would correct it. But is it because kids concentrate on baseball at a young age and that's all they concentrate on? They don't play other sports. Could that be it? I don't know. Travel teams, they say, is one reason. Kids are throwing way too much.
They're not throwing enough. I mean, That's how wide the spectrum is. They're either throwing too much or not enough at a young age.
Have weights come into play, or guys lifting weights, and rather than I'm going to use that word again. I can't spell it, but elasticity. To throw a ball, you need to be flexible rather than the strength.
And for those of you who've not heard Bert say that word before, he's up to 5 syllables. 1 strike to Plouffe. Check swing, they'll appeal. It should no swing. Oh my.
Capuano has a very good changeup.
I thought he swung.
It's a changeup right here. See where Trevor went?
He went, didn't he?
Yeah.
1-1. And a 3/4 swing.
Another good changeup right there. Capuano missed the whole season in 2008 when he was a member of the Brewers. Had right elbow surgery. Excuse me, left elbow surgery.
Just on, so we were talking about injuries and a little bit closer to home than Jose Fernandez. Byron Buxton came to the Twin Cities to get an MRI of his injured wrist. He has aggravated the same injury he suffered in the middle of March, so that is tough news. A setback for the phenomenal prospect.
I believe he did it sliding into a base, did he not this time?
2-2. Almost pitch 3-2. Kubel on deck. With 2 outs, Mauer will take off early. Detroit ended up beating Baltimore 4-1. Mauer goes, and it's inside ball 4, and now Kubel will have a chance with 2 men aboard.
He tried the changeup right there, the same pitch that struck out Santana, but missed down and in. First walk for Capuano to go with his 2 strikeouts and the 2 hits he's allowed.
Here's Kubel. 0 for 3, a strikeout, a ground out, and a fly out. As we began play today, 15 teams in the American League, 10 of them within 2 games of the 500 mark. That's been the story of the baseball season. Call it parity, mediocrity, whatever you want to call it, but there are very few teams that are far above or far below the 500 mark. Tigers are one of them with the best record in baseball. Orioles now dropping a tough game. They might be within 2 games of the 500 mark by tomorrow. And you got the Oakland A's, and that's, Houston struggled. Tampa Bay's off to a disappointing start. 2-0 to Jason Kubel. 3-0 with Suzuki on deck. An old starter. Former starter, asked to pitch through the 6th inning here. First 2 outs came easy, but now a single, a walk. 3-0 to
see if Jason has a green light right here. It has to be a fastball in, and he can drive over the wall.
And Capuano paints the corner.
I think you stay away from that one.
3-1. There's ball 4, and they're loaded for Suzuki, who drove in a run in the 5th. Has a chance to do more damage here in the 6th.
Juan Nieves, the pitching coach, on his way out. Back-to-back walks for Capuano.
If you're looking for something very special to commemorate this year's All-Star game at Target Field, you got to get Our Game by artist Terrence Fogarty. It's the name of a limited edition print that depicts a stunning vista of Target Field and the cityscape of Minneapolis, and portrays baseball's youth celebrating America's Midsummer Classic. I just love that picture. Each print is meticulously reproduced from the original. Find out more and order yours today at twinsbaseball.com. Well, the Twins with a chance to create a little breathing room here. Bert Badenhop warming up. The Twins have not gotten tonight, even though they've scored 6 runs, is a big 2-out hit. Ball 1. All the damage they did in the 2nd inning, all 5 runs scored with 1 out. And then Suzuki drove in the 6th run with a 1-out single in the 5th. One and 0 to Suzuki. Flared foul. Or with a 2-out single, then Plouffe and Kubel each walking to fill the bases. Chopper toward short. Bogaerts goes the short way, forces Kubel at second. The Twins leave it 0 in the 6th.
A 2-run home run, giving the Twins at that time a 2-1 lead. And the Twins added 3 more. 2-run double by Brian Dozier, an RBI single by Joe Mauer. Made it a 5-1 lead. Suzuki adding another run with a base hit, an RBI single in the 5th. And there's that big man again, David Ortiz. 2 home runs in the ballgame, and he's accounted for all 3 runs driven in for the Red Sox.
Twins up 6-3. Look at the Subway in-game box score with the Twins getting a lot of production from the bottom half of the lineup again.
Boy, you like to see that. 11 hits by the Twins, 6 runs, a big 5-run bottom of the 2nd inning. Now it's up to the bullpen to hold that lead as Ricky Nolasco works the first 6 innings. Michael Tompkin coming out of the bullpen, making his 13th relief appearance. Had a tough outing in his last start in Detroit where he gave up 3 runs. A 3-run home run to Victor Martinez in a 9-3 loss to the Tigers on Saturday.
It'll be the bottom third of the Boston lineup. Bogaerts, Middlebrooks, and Bradley. And Tonkin delivers down and away, ball 1. Bogaerts hit the ball hard twice against Nolasco. A triple off the top of the fence in center field, and then a liner to left. Tonkin drills a fastball across the knees, 1-1.
Tonkin with a good sinking fastball, a slider, and a changeup.
Slider right there catches the inside corner, 1-2. Bouncer to third. Plouffe gobbles it up. Over to Mauer. 1 away. Lost in Plouffe's offensive season, which we tend to talk about, is the fact that he's become a much better thrower at third base than he ever was as a shortstop, which is odd because that was his position. I mean, his throws, now that was a fairly routine throw, but we've seen him make throws from behind the third base bag. His throws have been much better than they were as a shortstop or even last year as a third baseman.
Well, even Brian Dozier mentioned that. You know, I mean, they're getting more playing time. They're feeling more comfortable. And, you know, we get to the ballpark early, not as early as some of these players, but you'll see, you know, Paul Molitor or somebody, Tom Berdansky, hitting him ground balls at third. So he continues to want to improve defensively at third base, and that being Trevor Plouffe.
1-1 to Middlebrooks. Fastball missing low. Tonkin can stay down there. He's going to be really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, that's a heavy fastball, too. You can almost see the way that Suzuki has to catch it. It'll break your glove in quickly.
And now he goes upstairs to get strike 3, 2 down.
With a 94-mile-an-hour fastball. Previous pitch down, and this one just overthrows and overpowers Middlebrooks right there for a strikeout.
It's 14-1, taking a lead or being tied going into the 7th.
Well, credit that bullpen. They've done a great job.
Stroke to right. Bradley with a 2-out single. That'll bring up Pedroia.
Bradley gets his first hit of the ball game. Bradley 3 for 3 in stolen base attempts, but be surprised if he goes anywhere.
Off the plate, ball 1. Strike 2.
Another good fastball on 94.
Breslow getting loose. Tonkin can clean up business here in the 7th inning. Just off the plate, buzzing a fastball down and away.
Tonkin at 6'7", about 220. Came up to the Twins last year. 9 games, all in relief in 3 different stints.
2-2. And into right field, nearly hit Bradley. Bradley will hold up at second base, and now Victorino coming to the plate, representing the tying run. The Red Sox not going away.
Pedroia hitting a pretty good pitch, a sinker down. Suzuki wanting it away, and a good movement, but it kind of came back over the plate, and Pedroia picks up his first hit, hitting the ball sharply the other way.
Rick Anderson to the mound, saying in not so many words, please get this guy, because David Ortiz is on deck. With 2-out singles.
Brian Dunsing loosening up in case Victorino able to get on. You want to face him with nobody on, leading off the top of the 8th.
Trying to figure out who Tonkin reminds me of with his stature on the mound and what he throws. I'm going to throw a name at you. It's back in your era, I think. So we'll get by this first pitch here to Victorino. Missing down and away. Remember Eric Plunk?
Yes.
Big, tall right-hander.
Yeah.
Was a great setup guy with Oakland and Cleveland.
Plunk had a little better delivery. I think he was kind of a long-armed right-hander.
And now missing 2-0 to Victorino. Fox Tracks presented by Carrier.
Plunk had some good years. I believe most of them were with the Oakland A's.
Sharply to center, a base hit. Bradley's going to be waved around. And the throw cut off by Mauer. 3 2-out hits. And now a 6-4 game, and here comes Ortiz.
Tonkin fell behind on Victorino, gets his second hit, driving in a run, his 9th of the year. Fell behind 2-0, came in with a fastball, didn't have much movement. And Victorino lines it right back up the middle.
3 2-out hits. Red Sox are back within a pair. The tying run at first. Tonkin leaves for Brian Dunsing, who will try to get David Ortiz with the lead on the line. Already tonight.
Well, Ricky Velasco with 2 outs in the first. His breaking ball, he hit for a home run, his 8th of the year. That gave the Red Sox a early 1-0 lead. And then in the 4th inning, leading off the inning with a home run off the fastball, and then driving in a run in the 6th inning with an RBI single.
And earlier we told you Ortiz has hit now 100 home runs against a left-handed pitcher, but he has not gotten a hit in his career against Brian Dunsing.
0 for 5 with a couple strikeouts. Good breaking ball right there for Dunsing, making his 14th relief appearance. Very good numbers for Brian.
One strike to Ortiz. Another nice save by Suzuki. The only bad outing that Dunsing has had this year, and I put quotation marks around the word bad, was when he was asked to pitch almost as long as the Twins starter. And the Twins had that frustrating split doubleheader with the Dodgers.
They worked 2 2/3 innings, gave up a couple runs, 2 solo home runs.
Check swing.
Good breaking ball there.
Where was the pitch?
Wow.
Forget the check swing. The pitch looked good.
Sure did.
2-1.
And staying with that breaking ball to David Ortiz. Yeah, Van Slyke and Drew Butera hit home runs off of Dunsing.
Just off the plate according to Fox Track. 2-1. Big pitch here to Big Poppy.
Challenge him with a fastball at 92.
And Dunsing says, let's just chat about this right now. Such a great clutch hitter. Only clutch hitters can make you feel like it's the 9th inning when it's only the 7th.
Yeah, they also make you feel like they set you up for something. You know, like I can just sneak this fastball by him. Let's see what they decide to do. Wow, another good pitch. Just missing down and away.
I think Dunsing threw it right where he wanted to.
Yes, he did.
And thought he had caught the corner.
And Ortiz, credit him, he laid off of it.
Got to go back to the fastball here, don't you?
I think they go back to the breaking ball.
Okay. Just in case Pedroia was going to leave too early. Napoli, the on-deck hitter.
He has missed, what, 3 times with that breaking ball down and away. Maybe David Ortiz will maybe swing at it if he tries it again. And he does.
Base hit. He's driven in a run again. And Santana fires it into the infield, and Mauer has to short hop the throw. That was similar to Ortiz's hit against Yu Darvish in Texas on Friday night. Somehow
he's such a clutch hitter. Let's do a little pitch by pitch. A breaking ball. That's the one that David Ortiz swung through. Then he took up for a ball, threw a fastball by him. Took that pitch. Boy, some good pitches right there. And then the breaking ball with the shift on. Even though Dozier dove for the ball, he could not get it. And Ortiz driving in his 4th run, and it's a 6-5 ball game.
Tying run at 3rd, and now Napoli 0 for 3. A strikeout, a flyout, and a line out to center. 4 straight 2-out hits, all singles by the Red Sox. And they're within 1. Napoli swings through a fastball. 4 for 4 for Ortiz, with 4 RBI at bats. The home runs, obviously, and the singles, too, have each driven in a run. 1-1. Two and one. Tonkin charged with the 2 runs this inning, and he's responsible for Victorino at 3rd. 3-1. Sizemore on deck.
Now David Ortiz, since 2011 here now at Target Field, is 25 for 47. That's over 500.
And you wonder why the Red Sox have won most of the games here in that period of time. Napoli walks, and they're loaded for Sizemore.
Let's do a fair pitch by pitch to Dunsing to Napoli. Overpowered him with a fastball and then missed with the fastball. Tried the breaking ball, missed down and away. Another fastball down, and then walked him on looked like an off-speed pitch to load the bases.
Sizemore has been called back to the dugout. And Johnny Gomes is going to hit for Sizemore. And that'll bring Ron Gardenhire out. Matt Guerrero is going to make just his 2nd appearance for the Twins. And the biggest spot you can imagine. Twins had a 4-run lead, a couple of them actually. The Red Sox are back within 1. They've got the bases loaded. And 2 away. It'll be Gomes against Guerrero when we come back.
Escobar might be the next man up. The guy missing from the equation perhaps is Casey Feed, who on Sunday took a Victor Martinez line drive off his right bicep. I saw Casey playing catch in the outfield today, and he was whipping it pretty good. But he still has his jacket on, and it might be that Feed's not even available tonight. So the Twins are going to relieve Brian Dunsing with Matt Guerrero facing pinch hitter Johnny Gomes.
Well, Matt just making his second appearance. The other appearance coming back on May 8th in Cleveland. One inning. He gave up a run on a couple hits. Twins lost that ball game 9-4. Matt working the 8th inning in that ball game.
Gomes 0 for 3 as a pinch hitter. Tying run at third. A couple of other runners out there, but 2 are out. Another nice save by Suzuki. Keeping the Twins in front. Ball 1.
Carrera goes with that slider first pitch. And Suzuki keeping it in his glove. Gomes in his second season with the Boston Red Sox.
The slider that Guerrero threw in the dirt, the pitch that the Twins felt he needed to refine and work on, which is why he did not make the team out of spring training. Ultimately, perhaps even to get Gomes out, he's going to need to throw a good one to get the Twins off the field. That one again off the plate, 2-1.
Yeah, big break, but you have to be able to throw it over for a strike.
Gomes, one of several Red Sox players who came up big in clutch situations in the postseason last year. Most of the rest of them are on the bases right now. Foul back. And it's 2-2. So fastballs for strikes and sliders off the plate so far.
Yep. Fastball clocked at 91. That also has a curveball, but it's not a tight curveball. It's kind of a roller type curveball. First pitch for the Twins in 2004 to 2010.
Two and two. Guerrero to Gomes. Up high with the fastball. Gomes wouldn't chase.
Now, if you're Johnny Gomes, you sit on one pitch right here, fastball, because you've already seen 2 sliders that he was unable to get over. And in this situation right here, last thing Matt wants to do is walk in the tying run.
Four singles and a walk, all with 2 out in the inning. Twins clinging to a 1-run lead. Foul back.
Almost. You almost had it. That was right at you too, partner.
It was just a
little bit higher. You had it.
A little beneath me.
You had those big paws out there. Ready?
Never been more relieved in my life.
What do we get from underneath this table here?
Subject of relief.
Come on, Matt.
A high pop-up back into the seats.
Gomes has that short, compact swing. 7-pitch at bat so far to Johnny Gomes from Matt Guerrero.
Another 3-2 with the lead on the line. Nothing but fastballs and nothing but foul balls from Gomes. fastball. The first couple were at 92, then 91, then 90.
Yep. Holmes battling him. He's fouling off some fastballs. Johnny Carroll in his second season. I'm still surprised he wasn't manager of the year last year. I know Terry Francona got it, but they did what the Twins did in '91, going from last to first and winning the World Series.
Another 3-2 pitch to Johnny Gomes.
Sacrifice
oh,
fly.
nearly hit him, and the game is tied. And the Red Sox have put together an impressive 2-out rally here to tie the game in the 7th. They're still not done.
Well, we talked about the slider from Matt Guerrero. One thing the Twins wanted him to do was do a little pitch by pitch to Johnny Gomes. He missed with that breaking ball. Fastball for a strike, even the count. Then he missed again with a breaking ball. Fastball fouled off 2-2. And then 3-2 high fastball. And then Gomes went to work. Kept fouling off fastballs. Matt Guerrero had to keep pumping them into that strike zone and finally missed up and in.
It'll be Caleb Thielbar pitching to A.J. Pierzynski in a tie game. Michael Tonkin struck out Will Middlebrooks. 6 batters and 3 pitchers later, we've got a tie game, and the Red Sox have the bases loaded.
Yeah, Ron Gardenhire calling on Caleb Thielbar to get this final out here in the top of the 7th inning in a tie ball game. Caleb making his 15th relief appearance. Very good numbers for Caleb. 10 2/3 innings, giving up 8 hits, 3 walks, 1 intentional with 6 strikeouts.
9th man to bat this inning, A.J. Pierzynski, after the first 2 batters were retired. Bases loaded.
Caleb with a fastball, curveball, changeup.
Strike 1.
Good fastball, good location.
Breaking ball fouled away, 2 strikes.
And now the at-bat just begins. We have seen for
That's
AJ.
true. Although Pierzynski did strike out swinging twice against Nolasco.
Yep.
Who will not be involved in the decision here tonight. Swing foul. Oh, and 2. 3 runs charged to Michael Tonkin. Ball landed in front of the right-handed batter's box, and Suzuki smothered it. 2-2.
You know, we had Tim Laudner up here earlier, you know, and as a catcher, you know a breaking ball's coming and you're ready to block it. And you know, Suzuki here tonight has done, both catchers, AJ up at the plate and also Suzuki, doing a good job of blocking the pitches in the dirt.
Fouled back. Still 2-2.
A lot of pitches thrown this inning alone by all the relievers. 46 total pitches this inning. And again, AJ, I remember that at bat in Tampa Bay at a 17-pitch at bat. Finally grounded out, I believe. See if he can do that here.
Lays off the breaking ball, and the count is full with the bases full. There's already been a bases loaded walk to tie the game. 47 pitches from 4 different pitchers, just trying to simply get 3 outs in the 7th inning. Got him looking. The Red Sox get 3 but leave 3. Caleb Thielbar finally wraps up the top of the 7th.
Definitely looking something else, but you know, Thielbar got ahead with a fastball, then the curveball fouled off, and then I said, as the battle begins right there, AJ will find a way to get the count to 3-2. Fouls off another pitch, and this is a curveball right here. He laid off of, made it 3-2, and then Caleb snuck that fastball middle in, and AJ knew it.
Chris Parmelee will lead things off for the Twins now in a tie game. He'll face former Twin Craig Breslow, who comes in for the Red Sox. The Red Sox bullpen, well, it hadn't been the most efficient night for them either. The Twins had the bases full in the 6th.
Yeah,
left them there.
ERA-wise, the Boston bullpen, second in the American League as far as combined earned run average behind the Oakland A's bullpen. Breslow, his season was cut short a little bit at the beginning when he was on a disabled list at the beginning of the year, activated in early April on the DL with a strained left shoulder, making his 10th relief appearance.
A good night already for Parmelee. He'll hope to extend it big walk that triggered the 5-run second, then a pair of singles. One of them against a left-hander his last time up. Off the plate, ball 1.
Breslow, very good control. Not an overpowering fastball. He worked both sides of the plate. Curveball, changeup, little cutter.
That hits the corner, 1-1. It'll be Parmelee, Nunez, and Escobar. The Twins again, with the roster changes, have gotten some rallies started from the bottom of their lineup. They'll hope that's the case here in the 7th inning. Fouled away, 1-2. Johnny Gomes is in the game in left. One and two to Breslow. Breaking ball laid off, 2-2.
Breslow in his 3rd season with the Red Sox. 2nd stint. He was also with them in 2006. With the Twins in 2008 and 9.
High fastball got him, 1 down. Bring up Eduardo Nunez as promised earlier in the game. We have the AT&T fan photo of the game. You can tweet your photo to hashtag NorthFanPhoto for a chance to be shown on a broadcast brought to you by AT&T. Glenn Perkins taking some youngsters from the Boys and Girls Clubs fishing. Here is Nunez, homered, with a man aboard in the 2nd. Ground out and a strikeout have followed. Strike 1.
Good changeup right there, down in the strike zone for strike 1 by Breslow.
Now missing, 1-1.
Nunez kind of golfed that home run off of Peavy in the 2nd inning. That sinker down and in for the 2-run home run. Gave the Twins a lead at that time, 2-1.
1-2. It might be that teams like Boston that have seen a lot of Nunez will have a better idea about how to get him out. Nothing secretive about Nunez. Red Sox have seen him for years when he was with the Yankees. 2-2. Popped up near the Twins dugout. And no play for Pierzynski. Fans, you can follow every Twins game with MLB.com @bat on your favorite mobile phone or tablet. Get live look-ins, instant replay, scores, stats, audio, and the free MMB.TV game of the day. Download at the App Store or visit twinsbaseball.com today. Two and two to Nunez. Another strikeout, 2 down.
Well, good changeup right there by Breslow. Picks up his 2nd straight strikeout. Pretty good pitch right here. You know, you can have a scouting report, but your pitchers have to go out and make the pitches.
Yeah.
That's a good changeup right there. Sinker down and away.
Now Eduardo Escobar 1 for 3 with a run scored. Escobar singled in the 5-run 2nd. Left a couple of runners in scoring position in the 3rd. Left 3 men on. 2 men on, I beg your pardon, in scoring position again in the 5th. This one hit high to left field. Gomes doesn't have to move much. In fact, he has to come in a step or 2. Took the Twins 4 pitchers to get 3 outs in the top of the inning. Breslow gets all 3 in the bottom.
Update, encouraging you to join us immediately following Twins Live post-game coverage tonight for a special playoff edition of Wild Live. It's a 1-hour show coming from the XL Energy Center. Join Mike Greenlay, Wes Walls, and I as we break down Game 6 between the Wild and the Hawks. Dick and Bert.
All right, thank you. Game 6, and of course, everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, there might be a few stray Blackhawk fans around. For heaven's sakes, I know there are in the press box. But most everybody is here hoping for the Wild. You can see the Wild colors all over town. Jared Burton coming into the ballgame for the 16th time.
Well, the Twins needed 4 relievers to get out of the 7th inning. Hopefully Burton can have a 1-2-3 8th inning. He worked on Sunday, had a 1-2-3 8th inning, and the Twins 4-3 win. Ended up getting a win in that ball game when the Twins came back and scored 3 runs to beat the Tigers late in the game.
Bottom third of the Red Sox batting order in the 8th. We said that when we started the 7th inning, and Tonkin got the first 2 outs. And then the Red Sox kept chipping away. They got 3 singles. Ended up getting 3 runs against Tonkin because of base hit. 2 more walks followed. Tie game. And Bogaerts, big swing and a miss, 1 strike.
That's one thing I've seen as of late from Jared Burton on that road trip I was watching. Better control of that fastball. Not mixing in changeup after changeup. He's showing that fastball along with a slider and then the very good circle changeup that he has. 2 good fastballs right there to get ahead in the count. I think I mentioned before, sometimes when you have such a good pitch, like an off-speed pitch or a curveball, you forget about the fastball, and I think Jared Burton went through that a little bit. Now he's attacking the strike zone a lot better.
Ball doinked down the right field line, foul, and the bat went sailing, busted in his hands.
Yeah, that ball kind of a sailor that Burton threw right off the end of the bat. Well, Bogaerts, and he hit a foul as the bat comes in half. Watch this pitch right here, kind of sail on him a little bit.
Right off the end.
Yeah, a barrel of bat. And Bogaerts did not know where that ball went. He kind of looked around like, where is it? 3 good fastballs by Burton right there. And then the changeup.
In a good spot.
Yeah, outstanding spot.
1 down.
Pull the string. Great location.
1 down in the 8th. And Will Middlebrooks will bat. Bouncer to third and a pair of strikeouts. Challenging him with a fastball, a foul tip, 1 strike. Fly ball right field. Harmony jogging in, running catch out number 2. That might have been the slider getting out number 2. Ladies, listen up for a great offer just for you. Wine, Women, and Baseball is back, and the first event coming up Tuesday, May 27th. Enjoy Pamper Yourself stations, light appetizers and desserts, a wine tasting, and a gift to take with you. It all happens before the game at the Graves 601 Hotel, a block from Target Field. Find out more, get your tickets at twinsbaseball.com or call 800-33-TWINS. Now, what do you consider a light appetizer?
Steak.
It's kind of a vague term, right?
Yeah.
For a light appetizer to some is
steak and eggs.
Is different for other people. Want to know? And a strike. It was Bradley's single with 2 outs in the 7th, and we didn't think much of it at the time. At least I didn't. But then the Red Sox went single, 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 walk, walk after that to make it a 3-run inning. Swing and a miss, 1 and 2.
Yeah, good change up there. 91-mile-an-hour fastball the previous pitch, and then the changeup with good sink at 87.
Got him. Great inning for Jared Burton. Quickly, the Red Sox go down 1-2-3 with a pair of strikeouts.
Between the Twins and Red Sox. I'm Jamie Hirsch with a reminder to stay with us after the final out of this game for Twins Live, presented by CenturyLink. We'll take a look at a big night for Big Papi, a season-high 4 RBI for him tonight. And we'll also look at the crooked innings for both teams. The Twins with a big 5 spot in the second. The Red Sox with a very big 7th inning to answer. We'll have that and Ron Gardenhire's reaction from the clubhouse at Twins Live after the game.
All right, we've got a tie game, and it'll be Danny Santana leading off the 8th inning against Craig Breslow, who cut through the 6, 7, and 8 batters.
Yeah, a couple strikeouts, 13 pitches, 8 for strikes for Breslow in the 7th.
Santana takes down an in ball 1. Twins would love Santana to get aboard. Might be the fastest man on the team. And 2-0. In the game, a walk and a run scored in the second. Tried to bunt for a hit, and it took a great play by Jake Peavy to throw him out.
Yep.
And then he was called out on strikes in the 6th. Three and 0, and Breslow's one pitch away from issuing a leadoff walk here in the game.
Breslow came in his appearance 6 walks in 10 innings pitched. 6 and 11. Can he make it 7-11?
3-1. Santana with 1 walk tonight. Hoping to get aboard here starting the 8th. And Santana takes a 5-pitch leadoff walk, and the game has just changed. Breslow's got a nice pickoff move, but John Farrell's going to bring in the right-hander to face Brian Dozier. It'll be Junichi Tozawa who will come in for the Red Sox with the very speedy Danny Santana at first in a potential base stealing situation. So another pitching change in the middle of an inning at the very beginning of the inning after the leadoff walk.
home plate. A lot of different options here for the Twins. If you look at Tazawa, if he is that deliberate
Right
to the
there.
plate, Danny Santana is going to steal second.
Well, Santana, who's got outstanding speed, you mentioned, at 117 minor league steals in 7 seasons. And Tazawa coming in for the 17th time. He's done a good job out of that bullpen. 71 relief appearances last year when they won the World Series. Also pitched very well in the series itself. And postseason.
They haven't done any base stealing yet in this game. The Red Sox have given up 22 steals in 30 tries. Colabello with batting gloves on, bat ready. We'll see what Santana does, if anything, here. Middlebrooks, the third baseman, is in on the grass already, defending a possible bunt. Santana with a good lead. Fouled back, and you can see Tazawa much quicker to the plate than he was during his warm-up toss.
Right. You know, Japanese pitchers a lot will have that little hesitation, but right there, kind of almost like the slide step. Tazawa in his 5th season with the Red Sox.
One on strike to Dozier. See if he's bunting on the second strike. High fly, left center field. Santana plays it halfway. Gomes with the catch, one away. And that'll bring up Mauer. Mauer with 2 hits and 2 lineouts. The hits have come on ground balls through the shift. And we'll see whether the Twins are eager to move Santana during the Mauer at bat. When a left-handed hitter's up, sometimes you'll hear managers say they wanted to keep the hole open between the first baseman and the second baseman. But that's not really where Joe gets most of his hits. He doesn't pull the ball through that hole that often.
No. Kind of saw Dozier kind of shaking his head a little.
Whoa! Got him.
Picked them off.
Santana was just extending his secondary lead as Tazawa threw over, 2 down.
Well, that quick movement right here, you see Santana trying to get his feet set, but the quick tag by Napoli. Swiping Santana for the second out. So a base running mistake by Santana.
Outside to Mauer, ball 1. Down and in, 2-0.
Tazawa with a fastball in the low 90s. He'll mix in a breaking ball, more of a slider, and then his forkball. That's his strikeout pitch. 13 strikeouts in 15 innings pitched.
2-0. That's to left. Gomes coming in. And he makes a sliding catch in short left field. Twins get a leadoff walk, but only 3 men bat in the bottom of the 8th. Tie ball game, no chance for a save opportunity anymore. Glenn Perkins will come into the ball game to pitch to the Red Sox in a non-save situation here in the ninth.
Yeah, Perk worked on Sunday, an inning and a third, the longest he's had to get a save in the 4-3 win over the Tigers on Sunday. Inning and a third. Picked up his 10th save, making his 17th appearance.
Fastball up high to Pedroia. He'll face Pedroia, Victorino, and Ortiz, and he hopes that'll be it. Perkins was asked to get a 4-out save because Casey Fiend took the line drive against his right bicep. Big swing and a miss. 1-1. Victor Martinez hit a smash off the pitching arm of Fiend. He had to come out. And Terry Steinbach, the acting manager, put Perkins in to get the final out of the 8th and then the 3 in the 9th. Fouled away 1-2. And what we've seen here in the cool or cold weather, Perkins relying almost exclusively on his fastball.
Well, he's got a good one, 94, 95, sometimes 96, 97. And then he'll throw that hard slider down and in to right-handers. Likes to work inside like that.
That's to center. Santana coming in. Makes a running catch. 1 away. Pedroia with a line out to start the 9th.
Even that pitch middle in, Pedroia able to, that's how quick he is inside. Hit it sharply, but right at Santana. And Santana comes charging in.
Victorino singled in a run on the 7th. Tripled off the wrist of Chris Parmelee in the 6th. Another high fastball, 95.
Just a tough fastball to lay off of. Just that one that's just about letter high.
We're locked into velocity a lot and location, but it's a 1-1 pitch. That got by Dozier, much to his and everyone else's surprise. We've seen Dozier make that play. But instead, it's a 1-out single for Victorino.
Yeah, 3rd straight hit for Victorino. And now Perkins has to face this guy, David Ortiz.
Carsoup.com trivia question. I'm going to go Carl Yastrzemski.
How about Dewey Evans? Yastrzemski with 43. Oh, David Ortiz has got no chance. Ortiz has hit 17 against the Twins. 43. I think I gave up a couple of those.
Twins put the shift on with Victorino at first. Fouled back. And Ortiz reacting like he just missed his pitch. 2 solo home runs, 2 RBI singles. There's a cluster of fans wondering if he can put one in there again. He put 2 of them about 5 feet from one another in his first 2 swings of the night.
Ortiz 3 for 11 lifetime against Glenn Perkins with a double and a home run.
1-1. Half swing, and Tom Hallion says strike 2. Escobar, the shortstop, wanted to have a word with Pluth. 1-2. Got him again. That was more of a strike than strike 2, and Perkins gets a big strikeout, and Ortiz is finally retired.
Boy, he just reared back and challenged Ortiz right there with a good fastball. Suzuki sitting outside, and Ortiz unable to hold up.
Now Napoli with a runner at first and 2 outs. Napoli. There will walk to fill the bases in the 7th. Big swing and a miss on the slider.
At the slider, yeah.
So he started, I think, everybody else off with a fastball.
That's what I was going to say. You're on deck circle, or you're watching everybody fastball. So he starts Napoli off with a slider. Napoli, he's up there swinging.
Chases a fastball up and away, and now Perkins has him 0-2.
You kind of see how that fastball that kind of jumps at you right there is hard to hit, but if he gets the ball down like he did to Victorino, that ball flattens out a little bit, even though it's at 93 to 95. Victorino hit it right back up the middle for the base hit.
2 strikes to Napoli.
Another good stop by Suzuki.
Bet you there have been 10 balls, and of course, you expect your catcher to block them, right? But to execute the block without having one skip through the legs, as what happened to Pierzynski earlier in the ball game.
Saw Suzuki get a new ball, kind of walk out to Perk and say, okay, what do you want to do right here? See if they go back with another fastball, or if they try to strike him out with a slider.
1-2.
Looks like another slider.
Runner goes. Struck him out. A good inning for Perkins. And now in the bottom of the 9th, the Twins can pull off their first walk-off win of the year. Are imposed and inflicted. Struck him out. Got him. Breaking ball. Got him. Finishes are earned and celebrated. Ground ball right side. Pass Kirk going to right field. Bernier around third. He's coming in. And the Twins win it in the 9th. It's the last word. The closing act. The final step. The whole point. We don't remember the start. We never forget the finish. Base hit, right field. Dozier to third. They're going to wave him around. Hunter's throw is airmailed to the pitcher, and Pinto delivers the game winner. Twins have not had a walk-off winner yet this year. They have had 3 last at-bat wins on the road where they've scored the winning run in their last at-bat. And as we discussed in the road trip, in a way, that's even more impressive than a walk-off win. But against Andrew Miller, Trevor Plouffe will try to get something started.
Yeah, 6'7" Andrew Miller, hard-throwing left-hander.
Plouffe takes a strike, now takes a ball.
Yeah, Miller making his 19th relief appearance. 16 innings. He's allowed only 9 hits, 4 walks, but 23 strikeouts in his 4th season with the Red Sox.
Plouffe cracks one just foul down the right field line. 1-2. Trevor with a couple of hits and a walk. That one again just foul on the right field line. Wolf making a couple of opposite field bids for a hit. Loof, Kubel, Suzuki. The scheduled batters. Light him up inside, one down.
Nasty slider down and in.
Chris Colabello will hit for Jason Kubel.
Watch this breaking ball right here from Miller. Ball just darted down and in.
Colabello will hit for Kubel. Colabello's been in the starting lineup so much and had a chance to pinch hit very often. He is 1 for 1. Juan Nieves to the mound. Kubel had gone 0 for 3 with a walk.
Nieves kind of bringing out a little scouting report right there for Colabello. Throw me your 97-mile-an-hour fastball and then that slider. That's a nasty slider to Trevor Plouffe.
Left-handers just 2 for 21 against Miller, hence the pinch hitting appearance by Colabello. Inside a ball. If Colabello can reach, the Twins may go to the bench and bring Aaron Hicks in as a pinch runner. Missing inside 2-0.
Now Miller, 28 years old. You know, he came up with the Tigers. He was a #1 pick by the Tigers back in 2006. Tigers were very high on him, and then they ended up trading him to the Marlins. He's had some injuries that have kind of hurt his career, but he's always had that great fastball.
Bello swings through a 95-mile-per-hour heater.
There's Tigers, #1 pick. Signed a minor league deal with the Red Sox back in 2006. Played his college ball out of the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
2-1 to Colabello. On the outside corner.
Straight over the top at 6'7". Great arm angle.
Miller's biggest issue had been control, but he's harnessed that now, or so it seems. 2-2 to Colabello. Fouled back. So Shearer of the Red Sox, he pitched 65 innings and walked 41 guys.
Yeah, built a lot like Chris Sale with the White Sox. Tall, lanky left-hander.
Two and 2 to Chris Colabello. 96-mile-per-hour fastball. 2 outs, and that'll bring up Suzuki.
Just reared back and challenged Colabello, threw the fastball right by him. For Miller, his 25th strikeout. In 16 2/3 innings.
2 down, Suzuki at the plate. And on the outside corner at 95. Twins knocked Jake Peavy out in the 5th inning. Tags the right-hander for 6 earned runs, and the Twins haven't scored a run against the Boston bullpen since. 1-1.
Yeah, Peavy somewhere in the house spitting out that hook. It looked like the Twins were finally going to beat them here at Target Field, but their offense came back and tied the game at 6 apiece. Anthony Swarzak, who worked 4 innings, 3 days ago in Detroit, up.
under the glove of Middlebrooks, and Suzuki reaches with 2 outs. And that'll bring up Parmalee.
Yeah, Suzuki picks up his 3rd hit of the ball game. Like a breaking ball that flattened out a little bit, and Suzuki got the barrel of the bat out and hit it past the diving Middlebrooks. Middlebrooks guarding the line, staying away from the double. And Suzuki hit it to his left.
Well, big spot here for Parmalee, who's left in to hit. Aaron Hicks and Osmil Pinto left on the bench. Big swing and a miss. 1 strike. A deep drive to right. Gone, a home run. Chris Parmalee with a walk-off winner.
That is awesome for Chris Parmalee. Good for him. Good for the Twins. They finally beat the Boston Red Sox here at Target Field.
What a moment for Chris Parmalee. Taken off the 40-man roster, added in an emergency situation, brought back to the club. His manager showing tremendous confidence in him, putting him in there against a nasty left-hander. We told you before, left-handers were just 2 for 21 against Miller, and Parmalee takes him deep.
He swung through that fastball, got another fastball, did not miss that one.
A big win for the Twins. The first walk-off win of the year in dramatic fashion with Chris Parmalee. Finishing off a 3-hit night, and the biggest hit in his major league career that has suddenly been revived. A 2-run home run in the 9th. And Chris Parmalee now coming out of the dugout, and he'll talk to Jamie Hirsch. Let's listen in on the big moment from Chris Parmalee.
What an at-bat, what a moment, Chris. Take us through it.
You know, the guy's a tough lefty to face, and Suzuki was able to extend the life a little bit, and you know, I was looking for a fastball and got one and was able to put a good swing on it.
You were just added to the 40-man roster last weekend. I know it's been an incredible journey for you to get back up here, and I know how much you want to stay up here. What does this moment mean to you?
It means a lot. You know, it's always a dream to hit a walk-off home run in a big league stadium, and you know, I was fortunate enough to do that.
As for the way that your team continued to believe and continue to battle despite giving up those 3 runs in the 7th, what can you say about that?
You know, it was a tough inning, but you know, it happens, and you know, we were able to overcome it, and you know, our pitching did a good job to keep us in the ball game. So, you know, it was a great win.
I heard somebody in the dugout say just before you guys went out there for the bottom half of the inning, let's go, boys, let's win this game. What was the message among the team going into this last inning?
Well, you never want to go into extra innings, so you know, we were trying to take care of it in a full 9, so we were able to do that.
Congratulations on a great win. Enjoyed this tonight.
Thank you very much.
Dick and Bert, we'll send it back to you.
All right, what a great moment. He's a great young man, and he's had a crisis of confidence. I think that was Jimmy Carter's term a long time ago, and this will do nothing but boost the young man's confidence.
You saw that fastball down where lefties like it. Parmalee with that uppercut swing. What a beautiful at-bat for a guy that has been battling to stay at the major league level. Probably the highlight of his career right here, that swing. Beautiful thing to see.
Tom had him a month and a half into the season. Miller had given up just 2 hits to left-handed batters, and Chris Parmalee touched him for a game winner here tonight.
Finish. Parmalee parks it And the Twins walk off with an 8-6 win tonight in the series opener. Coming up on Twins Live, we'll continue to talk about Parmalee's walk-off winner and break down what was an unusual night in so many ways for the Twins. Twins Live coming up next.